Hey everybody, this is Guys Talking About Stuff. This is me, Kevin.
And this is I, Alex. And today, we are going to tell you about the centerpiece of the known universe, the 1990s. No, but in all seriousness, though, I love a lot of 90s stuff, especially when you just sit there and think about movies that came out in the 90s, you go up to somebody and you go, okay, here's some 90s movies for you. Forrest Gump, Pulp Fiction, Schindler's List, Shawshank Redemption,
Big Lebowski, Fargo,
Fight
Braveheart.
Club. Yeah, Braveheart, Terminator 2.
Saving Private Ryan.
Yes.
Iron Giant.
Oh, Iron Giant's so good.
Apollo 13.
Ooh.
The Unforgiven. Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense. That's a new rapper.
Yeah, Sixth Sense. Goodfellas. Home Alone.
Yeah, that'd be early.
Lion King.
Wow.
The Mummy.
Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
The superhero movies were really good back then.
I got the Val Kilmer Batman, George Clooney Batman.
The Val Kilmer one's not that bad compared to the George Clooney one.
Yeah.
Batman Forever is actually pretty watchable. If you like weird Jim Carrey, in, weird Tommy Lee Jones is there.
They did great as their role.
And Val Kilmer's even pretty good as Batman.
Oh, yeah.
The only problem with the movie is people remember Batman and Robin and then go, the other Joel Schumacher one was terrible.
Yeah.
It's an afterthought. I don't think
they can't forget
Batman
that bat
Forever
nipples thing.
Isn't that bad.
Yeah.
Batman and Robin is hilariously bad. So, I don't see what the problem here is. I think every Batman movie that's been made is worth watching. Adam West.
Definitely.
Well, we even did a Batman episode, but
we won't get too much into that.
So we're not going to do all that, but 90s Batman animated series.
The animated series, yeah, that was amazing.
Oh yeah, that's one of my all-time favorites. Growing up as a kid, having that.
Yeah.
I love that, and then Justice League came around, but then Batman and Superman Adventures.
I remember
the movies.
I remember growing up at night. I would stay up late and watch the animated series, but then there'd also be the Animaniacs, and there would be Pinky and the Brain and that and other.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg nailed the 90s.
Yeah.
Man. His 90s cartoons and movies.
Yeah. Speaking of Steven Spielberg, Jurassic Park.
Oh,
Jurassic
Park. That changed special effects. Although I think it's so much better than so many CGI fests because they spend the beginning with a lot of practical stuff. The T-Rex is practical and a lot of it.
All the animatronic stuff is insane.
It's so good, and it makes you think, what if we would have worked on that with CGI instead of just CGI's the new thing, replace everything? We could have some really cool superhero animatronics. I mean, if they could do a Hulk as an animatronic and then just touch it up with CGI, make it look real good.
Well, the problem with that is how fast the Hulk is, because the Hulk is actually kind of fast.
That's the problem with Marvel. It's all kind of ridiculous. I can't take any of them seriously. Captain America and the last two ones, the Civil War and Winter Soldier, they tried for realism. They're the most real Marvel movies. But I have people they're as good as The Dark Knight. And I'm like, they're not even as good as Batman Returns.
Well, the thing is,
Danny DeVito.
The thing is they're superhero movies. Of course, they're going to be a little
cheesy.
bit. They're going to be over the top because they have powers. So.
Well, and that's my problem. I like superhero movies, but I also don't like them because, if I'm in the mood for something even remotely serious, I'm always going to go to The Dark Knight before I go to any Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Because I could watch The Dark Knight 3 times in a row and still have my jaw drop at certain moments in that movie. That they're just so incredible from a filmmaking standpoint. I've never felt that at any Marvel movie. I've never thought this is a Marvel.
Well, so far, probably the only movie that's going to hold up in 60 years
is Infinity War.
Is Infinity War, you think?
Over Black Panther.
No, I was thinking, I wasn't saying the Marvel movies. I was saying out of all superhero movies,
Dark Knight.
I would say The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
I don't think the Avengers, they might.
They might, but they'll be that kind of thing where those cheesy westerns.
They'll be remembered as they were the most
not
intricate.
Like a Clint Eastwood.
They were the most intricate series of movies because it was what? I don't even know how many movies.
I look at it kind of like the Universal monster movies. I love a lot of them, but I know they're not, really good. They were cheap B movies at their time. People knew this wasn't high art.
But
But they were great for what they were.
What other genre in movie is there, 15 years worth of movies
Western,
that are all connected to each
Universal
other.
monsters. They made a way to connect them. Yeah.
Yeah. How many movies was there of that?
Oh, all of the Universal monster stuff. We're probably talking like 50, 60 plus movies.
That's interesting.
Yeah, people forget about that. So people are like, Marvel's just such an original thing. It's like,
No, I wouldn't
Universal
say that.
monsters did this before.
I didn't say
anybody.
that they were original. I just said that.
No, I'm saying like other people have been, it's the most original concept ever. It's like, no. Citizen Kane was the most original concept.
Yeah, but it would be really hard
But,
to interlock that many movies together and not screw
Oh.
something up.
Oh, I have to give him absolute credit that, like, for the most part, the continuity's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I mean, Batman Forever is a sequel to Batman Returns, but did anybody come out of that thinking it was a sequel?
No.
No.
That's because it was a different actor, though.
It was a different actor, and it was so different.
It felt-
Joel
yeah,
Schumacher's.
it was
I
different.
like Joel Schumacher in certain stuff. I love the one where Michael Douglas just goes insane and starts shooting people and
Yeah.
shit. I love that movie. I can't even remember what it's called,
Yeah, I
but
forget what it's called, too.
I do really like that. That's my favorite Joel Schumacher movie. But Batman Forever, I think, still has a little bit of charm. Batman and Robin, if you hit the liquor, I'm not... Kids, don't drink. But if you do, watch Batman and Robin. It's a quintessential 90s masterpiece.
Well, I'd say it's good for kids. It's a good Batman for
do
kids.
that and Independence Day as a double feature.
Yeah, I have
And-
that on here.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Independence Day, that came out... do I have the year on here? Where is it? Oh, I lost it. I have too many things written down. But more movies that came out in the 90s are... Ooh, actually, I have TV shows. I have plenty of TV shows came out in the 90s. The show everyone knows, Friends, started 1994. That lasted until 2004. I mean, who doesn't know Friends? There's so many things. The X-Files, 1993 to 2002. That was always on after The Simpsons, and if you stayed up too late, then you would do that if you were a child in the 90s. Also, The Simpsons started 1989, and it's still going. It's the longest running animated TV show currently, and they just signed on for 2 more years, I think. So they'd be into their 32nd season. And from what I hear is Disney's gonna buy Fox. So that'll be interesting to see if they renew that to keep it going again. Because I think Matt Groening would want to keep that going. I think he said before that he wants it to be a perpetual show and just last forever. Speaking of The Simpsons, Conan O'Brien used to write for The Simpsons. I think some of his episodes are the best episodes of The Simpsons in the early 90s until he started the late night show in 93. And he lasted in the late night show until 2009, which I think currently he's the longest running late night host. I could be wrong about that. I know that there is others that lasted for a while.
Yeah, no, I do think Conan's been on for a long time.
Yeah, I think it's 24
if you count
years.
everything, yeah. I mean, David Letterman was the king. I
Yeah.
mean, he was on forever. I mean, not Don King, not Rodney King.
Yeah.
The guy who interviews everybody. Something. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Larry King.
Larry King, yep.
Yeah, not Don King.
Yeah.
The rape of Don King. Yo, no, it was Nan King. But no, that was so funny. What was that? Peter Griffin. Yeah, Family Guy started in the 90s.
It did.
Yeah. And one of my favorite Family Guy jokes is Peter Griffin's talking to somebody and he's just like, yeah, that's like the rape of Don King. And it's like, and then I love he picks up the floorboard and he's like, no, look, this is a historic landmark. This is where the Pilgrims landed at Fraggle Rock. And then he's like, "Look, the Underground Railroad."
One of the things that Family Guy parodied was Dr. Katz, the Professional Therapist, which was a 90s show from 95 to 99, which I didn't really watch it, but I remember the skit from Family Guy, and Peter's sitting there in therapy, and he's like, "Hey, why is your skin always moving like that?" Because his skin's like rippling all the time, and he's like, "I think I'm having a mild seizure." Oh. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, Family Guy, it's one of those shows that when I was a kid and I saw it, I knew I shouldn't be watching it. And you know what the king of them all is? South Park.
Yeah.
Do you remember being a kid?
Yep.
You snuck and you my first episode, it was a brand new one. It was like 2004 or 5, and I was sitting in my family room, and my parents were gone. I'm like, oh, I could do anything. And as a 10-year-old kid, you're not thinking the same things if you're like, you're 16, your parents leave. We all know what you're doing with your free time. Yeah. But you're 10. You're sitting there, 10 years old. I'm going to watch South Park. I'm going to be a bad kid. So you go downstairs, you make ramen noodles. I think I made ramen, and I put on South Park. And it was a brand new episode, and it was the one with the Wii. Yeah. Where Cartman freezes himself. Mm-hmm. And then the fucking lesbians scissoring, but they're really men. That was definitely not what your first episode of South Park should be. Yeah, it kind of scarred me.
I think they actually predated Family Guy there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they did.
1997
they made fun
South
of Family
Park.
Guy in the one episode where they were like, the writers are manatees who pick some balls. Yeah. Because they're like, it's just a random series of jokes that just doesn't mean anything. South Park means a lot. Like, their episodes are deep. Yeah. South Park is fucking hilarious, and it's one of the best written shows ever. I would legitimately say South Park's one of my all-time favorite shows, and it deserves top 10 honors. It's won so many awards that you wouldn't believe how many things South Park's won. But, like, it doesn't get recognized in the mainstream because I guess they can't accept South Park because it's offensive. But it's just, they're trying to be truthful with shit. I don't think that's
I would
bad.
say, speaking of favorite comic or favorite cartoons, I would say over the animated series, I'd say they're equal probably. My favorite is Futurama. That's 1999.
Oh,
yeah.
Shoot. Okay,
the original run lasted until 2003,
I love
and then
Futurama.
they had more episodes. I've watched that show so many times.
I actually like it more than Simpsons.
I do too.
I know some people give me a crazy look, and I'm like, I think Futurama's funnier.
Futurama's amazing,
and I think it's like better written.
They have physicists writing on that.
Futurama has some crazy intense stuff, and it's hilarious. I mean, I think if you're gonna go for a voice cast that just makes you laugh,
Billy West is one of the most
one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, he does amazing
Mark Hamill
voices.
was a 90s guy. He was in everything from Freakazoid to Batman animated series as the Joker, obviously. But the guy who played Luke, everybody's like favorite whiny kid, because everybody hated the prequels, so I guess nobody likes that one. But everybody's favorite whiny kid was the Joker, and he is the Joker. So it's like, how many landmark 90s stuff we got? Voice acting's out the wazoo.
People might not know this, but Mark Hamill was actually in the animated series before he was the Joker.
What?
Yeah, in the first episode that aired, I think, the Bat episode.
Man-Bat,
Yeah. He's a reporter on the TV. He's like the news reporter on TV.
Wow.
And then later, he got cast as the Joker.
Well, yeah, I mean... Yeah. They were like, oh, this guy's good, let's give him a shot.
But I think that's easily one of the best voice acting performances out
of every voice acting thing? Yeah, I mean... People who are fans of cartoons and voice acting... No, Mark Hamill is like that. One of the landmark guys.
Yeah. Even if you didn't know that the Joker was Mark Hamill, you would hear the Joker and you'd be like, "Oh my God, this guy is fucking insane," and it's believable.
Talk about a guy who they said like his career was over because he wasn't that great of an actor, and he turned his lemons into lemonade.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill, the all-time greats in that. Mark Hamill and Bo Jackson, who was a 90s baseball guy. But no, what was funny with Bo Jackson, he was just this freak athlete. He played baseball and football. Yes, that is insane. So he played year-round, basically. He was such a freak talent. And the only thing that destroyed his football career was he hurt his hip. But as I told you, he played baseball and football. When football ended, he just went to baseball. And he made some incredible plays for several seasons. And you have to sit there and go, if he never got hurt or he got hurt nowadays, with all the kind of health stuff we got, there's guys who like tear an ACL, come back the next season. Adrian Peterson ran for like 2,000 yards a year after he tore his ACL, which is insane. Now, he definitely was juicing, which is also a very 90s baseball thing.
Well, a lot of, I know that...
Even WWE got in trouble for steroids
I knew
in
that,
the 90s.
that more recently,
publicity,
like in UFC and stuff, the doctors will actually use stem cells and stuff, which helps advance the healing, which I feel that would go along with other sports and stuff, and that's obviously a controversial topic, but it definitely helps things move along. It helps people in many different ways. It's insane.
Yeah, let's, anyway.
But, yeah, the Magic School Bus was a 90s TV
we went
show.
from talking about stem cells to the Magic School Bus. He was like, science. Fucking science.
It is an educational TV show.
With the frizz?
Yeah,
No
with
way.
the frizz.
Yo, everybody out there saw those memes, right? Where it was like, with the frizz, no way. And it was a Vine.
Yeah.
So they would play that clip. And then the one was this Chinese guy in a bus turning this, and they just started flipping. And all of a sudden, you just see a guy get sucked out the window, go flying. And you're like, what the fuck did I watch? And the Magic School Bus kind of was like that back in the day, though.
Yeah.
You'd watch it, and they're like, we're just going to go inside this kid's head. And it's like, oh.
Yeah, and they just shrink down, go in his ear, and they're like, the brain.
Oh, and at one part, they're like, they think that the bus is going to expand, and you sit there and think about the ramifications in a kid's cartoon. They are going to explode this guy's head.
Do you think they go in there, and the kid's just like, kick, starts like seizing or something?
Well,
Like, hit the wrong part.
Well, here's the thing, though. If they expanded...
Yeah, in the wrong time. What does this button do? I feel like that'd be a Family Guy skit right there.
It would be funny if South Park would do that.
Yeah.
South Park did do that when they went inside
Yeah,
Mr.
they
Slave's
did, yeah.
ass. Well, no, but that was the gerbil. That was fucking hilarious,
Yeah,
though.
Lemmy Minx or
Mr. Slave.
Yeah, Mr. Slave.
And the fucking South Park's so funny. I can't even put it into words because it's that one show I can watch with anybody. And as long as you're not like a fucking offended little bitch, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know? Like, South Park makes fun of everybody, but you gotta sit there and go, it makes fun of everybody. It makes fun of everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's great because it's not racist. Racist is when you're being a dick to a group of people.
Yeah.
That's fucked. But if you're joking about everybody and everybody can, like, accept that, I don't know. That sounds good to me, man. I mean, now, I will say, if you watch the first 3 South Park seasons, much lower in quality, and it was just pretty much the 2 guys.
Well, I mean, that's how every animated show
and then
is,
it got
if you
better
go
and
back.
better.
Yeah.
And then it got more political and
It's as
stuff.
technology moves up.
I guess I wouldn't say South Park's not really political because it makes fun of everybody. Like, they'll make fun of a Democrat.
It does make fun of...
Well, because they'll be like...
The thing about...
The Democrats want to milk Hillary Clinton, and then in the same episode they'd be like, Donald Trump is an orange, like,
The thing
turd
about
or
South
something.
Park is they don't pick sides. They just make fun of
they're like,
every
everybody
single
is
side.
dumb.
Yeah. And it's true.
It's true. But
One show that I don't think should have been canceled is King of the Hill.
I love King of the Hill.
King of the Hill.
I really think, the guy behind that,
Mike Judge.
he also did Beavis and Butthead.
Yep.
He did that.
What? One thing
am the
about
great Cornholio.
every time I think about it,
my bungalow.
the head cook where I work is just like, hey Beavis, yeah, want to suck my dick? I always think of that every time I think of fucking Beavis and Butthead. It's fucking hilarious.
It's such a good show. Beavis and Butthead. Okay, King of the Hill is such a good show.
Oh yeah.
Beavis and Butthead's really good, but the problem with Beavis and Butthead is people think it's like the lowest brow humor, but it's actually smart for being dumb.
Yeah.
Mike Judge does that. Like, people thought King of the Hill's for dumb rednecks. It's like, no.
No, it's about dumb rednecks.
It's about dumb rednecks, but it's for everybody.
Yeah.
There's that kind of southern charm in it that I feel like I watch it with my Republican friends, and they love King of the Hill because they're like, Hank Hill's a respectable man. And it's like, the thing about King of the Hill that people don't get is, I'm going to sound pretentious for a second, but listen to me. I think I'm on to something here. Hank Hill is kind of a look at what being a respectable man is.
Because, well, he's over the top.
He's over the top, but like he's. I have a friend who's like Hank Hill.
Yeah,
he knows who he is if he's listening to this. But just all the right things. Now nobody's gonna be Hank Hill. You know, like that's squeaky clean. Mm-hmm. Hank Hill
does one thing. So, oh,
yeah, he's the coolest dude though. Like. He's a chunky old dude who used to be a hero in high school. Sells propane and propane but accessories. He still does the right things, and he's a true American man, and he's the king of his hill. Yeah. He's a hero, and that's the thing. Like 90s had hero culture, and I love like movies like The Sandlot and Angels in the Outfield and all those. I know they're cheesy. Mm-hmm. I know they're cheesy, but if you can get past that, The Sandlot and those movies are like. Just playing ball on a day off and going out with friends, throwing a ball around, playing a game. Like, that was just a cool idea. And, I mean, playing baseball with friends, it's still one of the most fun things you could do on, like, a Sunday when everybody's free. And, you know, you just getting together and doing that kind of thing, it brings back good times. And movies like The Sandlot make you remind yourself of those things and those times and the stuff you want to do. The Mighty Ducks, the team that can't win. Ducks. Now, I realize all of these are literally just Rocky told over and over and over again, but we're okay with it. Yeah. I love Rocky. I realize every movie that's exactly like it, like, there's so many like it because everybody rips off Rocky, but Rocky was the original. Yeah. You have to realize in 76, it won Best Picture because people were like, oh, I've never seen this. And it was
such a low, like...
It was made for $1 million.
Yeah.
Do you know what, like, and people are like, well, if for inflation, you know how much that'd be now? Everybody thinks it'd be a lot. That'd be like a $7 million budget today. That's a little bit of money, but Marvel Infinity War and Endgame combined are going to cost the studio $1 billion to make them. $1 billion. You know what that is back then? That'd still be like $300 million or something.
Now, do you know the movie, I think it's called, it's a silent movie. The General, I think it is.
Oh, with Buster Keaton.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
I think that's what it is. They crashed they blow the bridge and crash a train in it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That I know that was what I learned was the most expensive scene in a movie for probably until now. I don't know how much that would, but it was like a certain amount of. It was like. $100 million back in like the early 1900s. They destroyed a train and a bridge for a scene in a movie.
Like real train?
A real train because they didn't have any effects or anything like that. So that's the only way they could have done it. And they had one try on it. So they blew it, and then they had all these people ride in on horses down the hill and stuff, and you can actually tell that it's one and
they blew money like crazy on the 20s, man. I would love to do a 20s episode too. Yeah, I think there's a lot of great writing stuff. You got Big Lebowski. Not Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski was a 90s movie, so we're keeping it in there.
Gerald's Great Gatsby. My bad. I used to get those confused. I'd get Big Lebowski and.
If you're gonna watch
Great Gatsby,
if you're gonna watch the Great Gatsby, watch the fucking the old one.
Watch the old, do not watch the Ream one.
Jay-Z's new one. I mean,
Leonardo DiCaprio. It was good. In everything. All right,
I liked
but
the
it's
movie.
Not even fair.
I didn't like
Titanic. We have Titanic to talk about.
I didn't like the injection of the music. I get that it was Jay-Z's movie, but I just didn't like that they like had so much like. It was too poppy of a music for nowadays type music. It wasn't. It didn't have that 30s, 20s feel of what it should have.
It should have been jazz. Should have been something like smooth 20s.
It was kind of jazzy. It was just like rap jazz.
Yeah, but it was rap though.
Yeah.
That needs to get the hell out of that. Get out of my movie. We don't need rapping in a 20s movie. They didn't have rapping back then. I don't know if you got the memo.
Back to the 90s.
No, rapping legit in the 90s. You got like NWA and like...
Well, that was late 80s.
Late 80s into the 90s, but like...
But yeah, NWA,
Tupac
it got
stuff.
big and all that, Death Row Records and
I like Snoop
all that.
Dogg with Death Row Records.
I like some of Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, I have Snoop Doggy Dogg on vinyl. I have an original Snoop Doggy Dogg.
That's kind of cool.
Out of every 90s vinyl to have, I mean, I'd love to have like Alice in Chains on vinyl from an original 90s release because it's worth so much. It's ridiculous. Meanwhile, I got Snoop Doggy Dogg. It's worth $50.
It'd be cool if you had like Straight Outta Compton or something.
That would be really cool to have.
Yeah, that would be a nice one to have.
I mean, that's like the single NWA album that was all of them.
Mm-hmm.
They only did one album together.
Yeah.
They're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for like one album.
Mm-hmm.
It changed the genre.
Yeah.
It kind of invented rap because before that it was hip hop. It was fun. You would dance around. You had girls back there. MC Hammer was a thing.
I feel like rap
that was the 90s.
I don't like, is rap a different genre than hip hop? It is. I always thought that they were...
Hip hop's kind of more musical, like groovy kind of. Like
so rap's just more freestyle stuff. Then.
Rap's just a beat and freestyle, but it can have other stuff.
Yeah.
But hip hop's like Rick James with a synth is hip hop.
So hip hop is where they take the other music, the older music, and they riff over it. Yeah.
Shake me good.
I get it now.
Shake me all night. You know what? Whatever. However that song goes.
Yeah.
I should never do that ever again.
Probably not. The Sopranos started in the 90s, 1999.
That's a fantastic show.
There's other shows. The Third Rock from the Sun. That was a great show with John Lithgow.
Yeah.
And Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I think, where I don't know if he started there. That's where he got big, though. The Drew Carey Show.
Yeah?
Yeah. Can't find that anywhere. Can't find it anywhere anymore. But it was big for when it was around.
Yeah, no, I like a lot of 90s television. Seinfeld.
I love that. That is the 90s.
Seinfeld is so funny. People, just real quick, I got to get this in here. Tom Brady got his 6th ring. This, as a recording last night. In a game that, was a little less than desirable, but in a year where everybody's talking about how offense is the new thing, which kind of started in the 90s, offenses got more potent and stuff. This stuff kind of happened, and they, it really is kind of nuts with how things started going in the 90s. You got the Cowboys, and you got the term dynasty got placed on the 49ers. They got their 5th ring in the 90s. You had the Cowboys. You had the Bills going to 4. You had these dynasties kind of start because of offense. And last night we kind of saw what I hope isn't the end of the Patriots dynasty, because, I mean, it's incredible to see this. But when you look around and you think about the 90s, we got this trend of dynasties from the 80s kind of carried over. But you also have the Steelers in the 70s, and I got to admit all the other things that happened, the Dolphins' undefeated season in the 70s. So football has a great history, and I just think 90s is kind of when it went to a whole new level, and it started rivaling baseball for the favorite sport, which is kind of crazy because baseball had always been number one. Football was kind of is there. Football started really kind of taking over. College football was really popular and had been building up, and you had some good stuff start in the 90s. Penn State had one of the most incredible offenses all time in 94. That was a crazy undefeated season for them. And, all these other dynasties, we're kind of seeing a throwback here. Because in today's day, we're not supposed to get dynasties. In baseball, we have a different team winning almost every year. You don't usually get a repeat. Hockey, you don't usually get a repeat. You kind of saw that end in the 90s with hockey when the goalies started getting to play a little bit more dynamically, and they got the butterfly, and they could really stop a lot of shots. But it's really interesting thinking about sports in the 90s in general. This is when it boomed. They got television, they got video games, they got all these other things coming around that we're sitting here now and really thinking... We're really thinking about how, do we want dynasties anymore? I mean, a lot of people, we complain nowadays. If a team wins too many, people complain about the Patriots. Oh, they got 6 rings. Well, I mean, Jordan had 6 rings. They did it. Yankees back in the day won 5 World Series in a row. And people stopped going to the game as much because they're like, well, we know the Yankees are just going to win. People kind of complain when dynasties happen, but it's only in retrospect that people look back on them and go, oh, here we go. Here's a dynasty. Look at them. The 70 Steelers. What a great team. What a great bunch. At the time, people would have been complaining like, oh, the Steelers, they just win every year. It's either that or it's like this Yelp culture has gotten people into thinking that everybody wants to hear what they have to say. And this kind of started in the 90s. We got the internet introduced. And then people started talking. And it's, we've devolved because of it.
Yelp definitely helped it move along a lot. I mean, that helped you, anonymously bitch about stuff.
Yeah, you didn't have to,
It gave you a
face
place to bitch about it. I
mean,
social media...
People can bitch on there, but...
social media had this weird, unintended,
side effect.
You
thought, people will come together. That's good.
But people come together and bitch
together
about it, and some people just go against things just to start shit.
Well, yeah, because then they can get attention, because if they're quiet, they're like, I'm alone.
Yeah, they feel more important than what they are. But I guess we all want that.
Yeah.
A little bit. That's the human drive there.
Welcome to the 90s. Yeah.
Welcome to the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff. Just to wrap up sports real quick. That game last night was kind of crazy how it went. You knew there was going to be one Brady moment somewhere. They didn't have to do it at the very end of the game because the Rams never got anything going. They had one drive where they got a field goal. But Tom Brady had that one throw to Gronkowski. That was the moment last night. He threw this ball in triple coverage, and it just fell into his hands. That you can never expect a guy's gonna 1 make that throw and 2 catch that. Jared Goff was missing guys who were open. Tom Brady threw a ball in between 4 men were in that area, and Gronk comes out. I mean, that's just unbelievable play by both of them. And it won them the game. They got the touchdown on the next play, and they got 6 rings. I just don't think we're ever going to see a dynasty like this again because you get a coach like that and a player nowadays. Tom Brady is one of the lowest paid quarterbacks in the league. I repeat that. Tom Brady is one of the lowest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. He has 6 Super Bowls, more than anybody ever. Anybody else has that kind of success, they're going to ask for the money, and they have one bad season, they fire a coach nowadays. Nobody sticks with them. Bill Belichick was terrible his first couple of years with the Patriots.
Well, let's just show that he's enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, it was when Brady came in. I mean, Belichick was bad. And Bledsoe was supposed to be this amazing quarterback, got a 10-year, $100 million deal. And the Patriots are like, we're going to go with this Brady guy, so they trade him away. They go on to win 6 Super Bowls. That's the gutsiest thing I've ever heard of. The year after a 6th-round pick, who nobody believes in, who barely made the team, wins 6 Super Bowls with a franchise. Never's anywhere near the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. His head coach, nowhere near the highest paid head coach in the league. And all they do is win. I mean, everybody's so selfish nowadays. They always ask for so much more money. And that started in the 90s. Players in the 80s in baseball made 3 times what the average person worked. People in the 90s, however, it started skyrocketing because they got a collective bargaining agreement and all these other things happened. But all of a sudden, you started seeing guys have, 3-year, $5 million deal. And you're like, whoa, that's a lot more than I'm making.
Think about that, too. Think about this. I haven't done the math, but what I hear the math is that in a typical football game, like a 4-hour football game, there's maybe 15, 25 minutes of actual movement in the game.
If that, yeah.
So these people are getting paid millions of dollars, not only to play a game. Like, I get that they're all,
Yeah,
like,
there's a play
400-pound, like, superhuman fucking people. And, like, they are, like, taking a risk by doing that and stuff.
Well, this is why the quarterback gets paid the most, because here's the thing. The ball's in his hand on every play they're on offense. Here's the deal. The clock has 40 seconds between every play. A smart quarterback does one of two things. They either run the hurry up, which was Peyton Manning's style, or you did Tom Brady's style, where he sat there and played a chess game in his head, where every time they were up, he slowed things down. Anytime they were down, he sped things up, and he said, we got to get the job done. When they have the ball early in a game, they run the ball, which has kind of gone away. People don't run the ball anymore, and people don't play defense anymore, but that's another story. They stepped up, they played full-out defense, and they ran the ball, ran the clock, so that the Rams didn't have that many chances to get back in the game. You give Tom Brady one drive to make a play, he's going to go down and make it. He did it against Alabama when he was in college in the 90s. Hey, there's the 90s tie-in there. Brady went to college in the 90s. Think about that. He's still winning Super Bowls. He went to college in the 90s. That's insane. He's 41 years old.
It's interesting to think at how many people that are successful now actually started
in the 90s.
In the 90s. Then they were still
Allison
in the
Chains
school.
is still around. They got nominated. I hope they win. The Grammys are coming up here. I'll watch. Just because I want to see Allison Chains win Best Metal Album, because they never got it.
Yeah.
And if you look at Allison Chains' you look at their albums. So this is where we turn from sports to music. So we're done with sports. We're done with sports. I had that as a marking thing in here. Anyway, to music, I just want to run through Alice in Chains real quick, and then we can go to the other guys. Alice in Chains is my favorite 90s band. I love just about everything they released in the decade. I mean, they came around with Facelift in, 90, 91? I think it was 90, because Cowboys from Hell was also 90.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you could argue that...
Both of those albums kind of changed metal.
You could argue that Pantera started in the 80s, but in my opinion...
Cowboys from Hell is their first real album.
They started in the 90s, and
they
are a 90s band, so Pantera would be my favorite metal... Actually, band of the 90s, probably.
I can give you that. Pantera's freaking awesome.
Yeah, they're amazing.
I mean, Cowboys from Hell... And then Vulgar Display. Dude, when I'm going to do weights, I just have
Cowboys
to put Vulgar
from
on.
Hell in 1990. And then they had Vulgar Display of Power 92. And Great Southern Trendkill 96.
Yeah.
And they... Fucking Dimebag Darrell was an amazing guitar player. There's nobody... that plays like him.
Dimebag could tear it up. I mean, some of the stuff he was doing, some of that style, one of the things that sticks out to me, where if you think about, imagine you're sitting there in 1990, you just hit the record store, and these are the 3 albums you bought. You came back with Alice in Chains, Facelift, Cowboys in Hell from Pantera, and Pearl Jam's 10. You come back with those 3 albums, and you've only been listening to hair metal or something, and you throw on Cowboys from Hell, and you get to, Cemetery Gates. You know, what the hell is this shit? And it's incredible.
Yeah. The composure of the music is amazing, because it's they have the contrasts between the slow parts and then the heavy parts, and some of the chords, he's fucking 5 frets apart. You can't.
Yeah, it's how do you...
like Sleep. It's like it keeps going further away, and you have to stretch your hand in this ridiculous amount. His hands were either huge or he had some tight frets, but still.
Dimebag complied.
Yeah, he came up with some crazy.
A lot of guitar playing
stuff.
stepped up in the 90s. People always think 80s are the pinnacle guitar. I've heard people say that to me, and I'm like, I think 90s take it because, hell, even look at the stuff like Satriani or
some
Steve
of the better
was
some
doing.
of the better albums came out for some of the bigger
Metallica.
The Black Album came out in 91.
I know it's so cliche to say that's such a great album, but it is.
It is. Yeah.
It's a great rock metal album.
It's not a thrash. It is not a thrash album, though.
Yeah, it's not
They
master
created
puppets, no.
they created a whole genre, and then they just kind of turned their back on it a
well,
little bit. Like
technically Venom invented the genre, but they sucked, so nobody cares. Hey, all 3 Venom fans are like, hey, that hurts.
They're all right.
No, good. Venom's all right. No, I'm joking. It's just put that up against like Master of Puppets or Ride the Lightning. It's like,
yeah, and Rust in Peace came out in 1990.
Marty Friedman could play with anybody.
Yeah,
Marty Friedman was so good. That album, you listen to those solos, and you have to sit there going, okay, add that to the pile. So you got Facelift. How about this? We'll drop Pearl Jam 10 because you're a metalhead. So you got Facelift, which that's pretty metal. Alice in Chains is pretty metal. So you got Facelift, Cowboys from Hell, and Rust in Peace.
Yeah.
You're feeling fucking great
set.
in 1990.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're like, the 80s are gone, and I'm happy.
Yeah, Seasons in the Abyss came out in 1992.
That's such a great... That's the best... I would say Slayer's best solos on that album with the title track.
Yeah.
Seasons in the Abyss. That solo, Henneman works really good when he's in it, but Kerry King does his mannerisms, but it works.
Yeah.
A lot of the 80s stuff's just... It's
they were working
musical,
up. They were working up to it. Yeah.
In the 90s, their stuff got better. I still don't think like Kerry King's like I would Steve Vai or Kerry King. Who you go? Not even a fair
I've seen
fight.
Slayer 5 times probably.
Yeah.
And yeah, Kerry King, his solos start to blend together.
They're all kind of the same.
Yeah. That's like nothing against Slayer. They're amazing. Like they're great.
Slayer's great.
They made
they're the best at what they do.
They're in the big 4. They're definitely one of the big 4. Yeah.
I mean, everybody puts them like I've had people tell me they put them above Megadeth, and I'm like, you're just a Metallica fan. You're a hater. Because Megadeth's my favorite of the big 4. I say that to people, and they're like, what? What do you mean? I'm like, to me, Peace Sells and Rust in Peace are just so good.
Technically speaking, like Megadeth is way above Metallica.
Like, no offense to Kirk Hammett, but you can't put him up against Marty Friedman. Like, that's not even okay. Like,
and Dave Mustaine even.
Dave Mustaine's a crazy good player.
Like.
Not anymore because he had some nerve damage and stuff. And,
that's
a shame. Yeah.
But I mean, he's still good. He's still
good, and he can sing and do that at the same time. Can you imagine trying to play Holy Wars and sing at the same time? I always am
amazed by that. Like it's
he's
hard,
just like
it's hard to play like Eric Clapton and sing at the same time, and like
Holy Wars?
And then you listen to like I'm just trying to learn Holy Wars by itself, and it's fucking hard.
Sit there and
he's singing at the same time.
Yo, yeah, you got Dave and Marty Friedman together at the same time.
Yeah.
Playing. And Dave's such an underrated guitar player, too, because a lot of the stuff, you can find his stuff when he was in Metallica. He was their guy. He was just, he got
Kill 'Em All.
He got on a lot of
he
drugs,
wrote most of the things, most of the songs in Kill 'Em All.
Four Horsemen's Mechanics.
Well, the Mechanics is Four Horsemen that he rewrote.
He rewrote,
basically.
but he wrote it.
He did write it originally.
So he sped it up because he's like, haha, fuck you. So here's the thing. In Metallica, they need James Hetfield and Kirk Hammett to like really work the track. Dave Mustaine could be by himself and play Holy Wars. Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about that. That's insane.
Yeah, Megadeth is Dave Mustaine, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and he's always had great guitar players. I mean, Chris Poland was
Metallica's kind of the band. Like it's Lars. You can't have it without those 3. I mean, the bass has changed.
I kind of say they're like the Who. Like this sounds weird. I'd say Megadeth's kind of like Zeppelin, and Metallica's like the Who. And by that, actually no, I'm gonna.
I don't think
I'll switch around. Okay, my bad. Okay, whoops. Okay,
like
so
they
this
were
is what I meant.
Like they weren't
Zeppelin,
as big. Zeppelin.
Okay, yeah. So Zeppelin would be Metallica, and we're gonna say the Who's Megadeth. But here's the thing: the Who still put out albums after Keith Moon died. Zeppelin ceased to exist the day John Bonham died. Like think about that. They could not be without him because they knew nobody could hit a drum kit like that. They might have been able to use Keith Moon, but he was already dead. Yeah. But that's the thing. The Who was still able to be a band afterward.
With Led Zeppelin.
And Megadeth's been able to work with a lot of
with Led
lineups.
Zeppelin, even if... I think even if John Paul Jones was taken out of the band, Led Zeppelin wouldn't work. It was such a...
Every member?
Every single member...
I got my Zeppelin shirt right over there, and look, all of them have their heads there. And it forms kind of like a cool little
Every single member was
unity of the
so
bodies and
incremental to that band that you couldn't do it without
They
any
needed
of
all
them.
4 guys.
Yeah.
But that kind of went away in the 90s, too. You went away, and they started making corporate bands like NSYNC and that bullshit. Think about that.
We won't talk about
We're not going to go too much into this, because this is the stuff that infuriates me like no end. The 90s is when like certain companies were like, we've got these original artists coming up. Let's get this hot, attractive girl and turn her into an act. Because young boys like hot girls, and young girls like seeing women succeed. It's a double whammy.
Yeah, you're right about that. Like,
meanwhile, most people are fucking miserable.
This is just my opinion. Well, you're right about the corporate thing. Corporate definitely took over.
Music's awful.
In the second half of the 90s, they took over everything.
Well, because they were so mad about the grunge thing,
that's
they
kind
lost
of
control.
That's kind of why I think, in my opinion, the 90s was the downfall to a lot of
It
stuff.
starts in the 80s, but then they got real evil in the 90s.
Well, I mean, the 80s had its good stuff because, like, thrash metal did come out. Like, different genres
but you had, like,
of metal.
Madonna at the same time.
Like, 80s was...
Madonna's not bad.
80s was more of the splitting up of genres into multiple different categories. And then in the 90s, like, the early 90s was all the good bands trying to put out their, like... their best stuff, because it's like
Tool.
They're in their middle age type
great
stuff
in the 90s.
And then near the end of the 90s, those bands that really dedicated themselves started to
they started selling out.
Yeah.
Well, look, except for one of the bands that stuck with it, and I know this is going underground, but anybody who's a fan, the Melvins did an album with Tool, or they did like a song or whatever. It's one of the best songs I've ever heard. And it was like from the 90s. I never heard about this. It's on YouTube. Look up Melvins and Tool. It's such an incredible thing. But it's like 17 minutes, I think. But it's one song. And it works because it's Tool and the Melvins. I think it's from like the late 90s too. Like when music kind of sucked. But this was so underground. But incredible.
I don't know why I just thought of this.
Some incredible stuff. But there's a lot of good underground stuff in the 90s. A lot of indie started. Radiohead. I love Radiohead. I love what Tom York and the guys do. Johnny Greenwood and Tom York have done some fantastic soundtrack stuff. But
did you hear
OK Computer's one of like the best albums.
I'm not sure what musician did it, but somebody wrote I think it's a 16-hour composition for an art installation.
It's probably like Brian Eno. It's gotta be.
I'm not sure, but he did that,
to write music,
and
whatever.
He made this 16-hour thing, and it's part of the exhibit. So you go in there, and it's 16 hours long. So like it changes throughout the whole thing, and the music is supposed to complement it. Could you imagine how long it would take to write a 16-hour song?
I wrote like a 30-minute song. Now it's gonna be.
I wrote long.
It's gotta be ambient, so it's gonna be like a meditation.
That's true. It kind of would be. Yeah.
There's no way it's not going to be like Master of Puppets stretched out for 16 hours.
Wow, this is a masterpiece.
You know what it would be? Okay, could you imagine you go to a metal exhibit, it's Master of Puppets stretched out for 16 hours. So at the beginning of the day, it's the song until that part where it gets all chorusy and goes.
That would actually be kind of interesting.
And that goes for 16 hours, and then at the very end of the day, it plays the last bit. Master! What
if you got like all the best metal musicians and rock musicians and got them together and then got them to write?
They did that. Hearing Aid did We're Stars, and it was like everybody in metal music. But what if you did that for like a big 16-hour song? It'd be crazy.
Like there's a lot of
History
bands
of
that
metal.
There's
so
a lot
you start from like the 50s with like some weird stuff that like led into surf rock. And then turns into like King Crimson and a fucking full bore Zeppelin and
there's a lot of bands that have gotten
Black
together
Sabbath.
that were like these great musicians that got together and then they just weren't really good together. But I mean, like if all these different musicians got together and had their own parts in this thing, that could actually be a really fucking crazy artistic thing.
Yeah.
That'd be very interesting to see, but it could also suck. Could be horrible. So
yeah,
there's There's Sepultura. You said that I was going to say something about
Yeah,
that, so I have
with
to.
you. I was like, what, Sepultura? Roots!
No, they had their album Arise came out in 91 and Chaos AD in 93.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know a lot of... I just know that song.
I hear it at work on the radio, so I know that. I know some other stuff.
You must get like XM at your work.
Yeah, Sirius XM. We listen to Liquid Metal.
Oh, okay. They play Maiden on there sometimes.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Cool. Judas Priest comes on.
I also listen to Ozzy's Boneyard.
Painkiller's the 90s.
Yeah.
That's 1990 also. Yeah, 1990 like changed metal music.
90 was a good year. Yeah, that was like
90 was a good year.
That was the strongest year.
89 was pretty bad, so 90 needed to be good, you know. 89 actually has some decent stuff, like some like lead up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like even Guns N' Roses, who were another 90s
It started
band,
88.
but they kind of started
89.
things.
Yeah.
And music started changing, which is good because you can only take so much poison in your life. You know, 3 years was too much poison.
Yeah, they have their parts, like that hair metal stuff. Like,
Well,
sure, as a whole, they're not great.
One of the members said they called themselves Poison because they said it was them acknowledging the fall of the record system. They said, we realized we were Poison. And I'm like, I think he was joking, but I listened to that and I'm like, he's probably being serious.
Yeah.
But pop and metal don't go together, especially baby metal. What the fuck is that shit?
Oh my god! They played that on Sirius XM, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Why? I'll put on my iPod. I will not listen to this.
That's not me trying to be offensive. I'm trying to like be accurate to like those show openings.
I mean, I get
because I like a lot of Japanese stuff. Like,
yeah, I get that. Like they're big in their culture and stuff.
That's so 90s.
Yeah, but I don't think that's
for America.
Yeah, it's not really an American culture type music.
Yeah. See that kind of stuff like you know, just like I could take about 15 minutes and then the shotgun's getting loaded.
Yeah.
So I'd prefer for us to stay about the 5-minute mark with that shit. And then K-pop, what the hell's that shit? I'm getting old, Kevin.
Yeah, Korea. Oh, I know, right?
My music, Pearl Jam's getting old.
I always talk, and then I'm just like, I sound like a fucking old man, but I'm like in my early 20s. What's about that?
I sounded like an old man in middle school.
Yeah.
You can ask other people. Like, I'd be like, your rock music used to be good. You used to have blues and ideas.
Oh my god, middle school I was talking about Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, and they're all like, oh yeah, no, that's all old music. And I was just like, but it's the good shit. So
yo, my one friend Mike, me and him would talk about 50s blues guys in business class.
Yeah.
We'd be sitting there and we'd be like, Howlin' Wolf was the shit. And then he's like, have you ever heard Robert Johnson's real voice? He's a legend. And then
he sounds like me.
So he played it, and Robert Johnson was like this squeaky sounding bitch. And then he like you hear him playing, he's like, oh, down on the Delta Blue. It's just like this fucking. I can't even do that voice. I'm way too high pitched for. I can deepen my voice.
Oh yeah. You just gotta sound like Josh Brolin, like you just gotta fool the belly. Like
I thought you were saying Josh Braun.
No, Josh Braun.
Yo, Jay Braun. Yo, hashtag out to our. I guarantee we have several listeners out there at Mansfield.
Yeah.
Josh. We miss you, buddy. We can't wait for you to come back.
Yeah, but, he's all bent out of shape about the audio. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
no,
Josh is like, you clipped 3 times, and you didn't re-record the episode.
Don't pop into the radio. Don't pop into the speaker.
Josh, we had Tom here. You knew we were going to clip.
Oh, my God. Yeah, he's the only person that clipped.
Well, because the last episode, Tom held the mic, like, right at his mouth and, like, 2 inches away when I told him, like, pinky to thumb.
Yeah, I didn't listen to the last podcast.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Tom's fine. I'm joking.
Good. That's what, good.
But, no.
I'm sure he'd be good at it.
You know, there's so much great 90s stuff. Hell, I already said Mighty Ducks. I love Mighty Ducks. I think...
Come back to the movies. There's Fight Club.
Oh, yeah. Let me just roll through. I'm going to do some reviews real quick. This is quick reviews because we got to get to our review part of the episode. I drew up a new, like, outline for us to follow. It's kind of a loose outline because we kind of throw it wherever.
Yeah, I kind of went through most of my stuff, so like yeah.
So yeah,
I might not give you the second suggestion because I don't know. Actually, you got still stuff.
I got a lot to go through.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do review, then we're gonna get back to discussion, suggestions, and then we're gonna do an outro.
Alright, then.
So yeah, real quick, to roll through some of these movies here, so I can start checking things off. I have for movies, Terminator 2.
Oh.
I think.
Growing up, that was one of my.
That was one of the
favorite
movies as a kid. Like you watch that and you're like, I want to be Edward Furlong. I can't wait for my Terminator to come and save me and take me away from high school or, okay, not high school. What the hell am I saying? Elementary school.
It's funny how you call him Edward Furlong. I just think John Connor.
Yeah.
Like, everyone
I know
wants
the
to be
actor because he was in a
John
lot of
Connor.
stuff back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like elementary school. I think I saw Terminator 2 probably too young.
Oh, I watched so many movies
I watched
way too
a
young.
lot of things. I watched Predator too
I watched
young.
the first Terminator way too young, and that one's actually scary compared to the second one.
Was the third one?
No, the
first one's actually kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's a slasher movie, pretty much. It's
like,
a great movie.
Like when they're crawling through that trash compactor movie, it's scary up until the end of the fucking movie.
Oh, I love Terminator.
Yeah.
I love those movies. Terminator 2 is one of my all-time favorite movies. I bought the 4K. I was going to watch it. I didn't.
No.
But just going off of memory, because I've seen it so many times, it's such a good movie.
It is.
It's so good. I could throw the label masterpiece on this, and I'm going to give it a masterpiece rating, and I have no regrets. I know some of my friends are like, but is it as good as 2001? I wouldn't put it on the same level, but it's still a masterpiece.
You can't compare everything to everything
I think 2001 is the greatest sci-fi film ever made, so I'm not going to compare everything to it. Like, that's bullshit.
Some things you just like.
It's
I get
a
that
Hall of
people.
Famer.
I get that people have like their number one this, but like you're gonna say something else, and then it's also gonna be your number one of something.
Yeah, like,
so like
Babe Ruth's the best player ever, in my opinion, for baseball. But Derek Jeter's a Hall of Famer. I'm not going to say that Derek Jeter and Babe Ruth are the same player.
Yeah, they're both number one.
They're both fantastic. They're Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Terminator 2 is a Hall of Fame film, and that's why I give it a masterpiece grade, because we can sit here, look back on Terminator 2, and I can tell you for a fact, I think that is a Hall of Fame film. It's worthy of like a movie Hall of Fame.
If we had a podcast about just the Terminator 2 would be 90% of it.
I would talk a lot about the
80%
first
of it.
one, but yeah, it'd probably
80% of it.
70, and then the first movie would be 25, and then we'd briefly talk the other shit. But
No, I wouldn't talk about the newer ones. I'd just go to the third one.
the third one
I'd go to
has
the
its
third
marks of cool stuff.
That's why I'm saying
but
that
it
would
has
be
such a dumb ending because
the
you're
last
like,
10%.
so you just undid everything the first two films stand for. Yeah, you surprised me, but this is so bad.
I just didn't
The
like the
2000s
fact.
invalidated everything the 90s were. They just spit on that grave. So
I didn't
bad.
like the Catherine Brewster type, that thing. Fuck you, John Connor. You can die. As long as we have her, we'll be good.
So my kind of Hall of Fame inductees for the 90s, because I kind of want to do this when we do these. I'm going to do a movie Hall of Fame. So my inductees, which you can give some too, Kevin. I didn't think it fully out, but I just felt like for this episode I can add some of these.
Yeah, I can show.
So
throw some
I'm
in
going to
there.
run through mine, and then you can run through yours. So obviously the ones we both have are clearly...
I'll just go to my suggestions for movies.
Yeah.
Then for that.
For 90s movies?
Yeah, just 90s movies.
And then I'll do my suggestions.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to do like random suggestions.
I'll just
Anyway.
suggest the shows later.
Movie Hall of Fame for me, I'm inducting Terminator 2. I think that's Hall of Fame worthy. Fight Club is Hall of Fame worthy. I think Fight Club's one of those all-time great films where you watch it, you do not talk about Fight Club. You know, like anybody who's seen it, they go through like an experience. Like it's one of those movies that you're like, holy crap. Donnie Darko was made in the 90s and would absolutely be a suggestion.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do that with 2000s episode. I love that movie.
I always see that video where they show, or like they always talk about in Fight Club where, I forget who it is. I know that it's Brad Pitt.
His name was Robert Paulson.
That's
a great moment.
Brad Pitt gets punched in the ear, but they actually, like, he's just, like, the director told him to punch him, but he didn't know, and he punched him, and he's like, what the fuck? Like, ow! Like, he was just an actual reaction. That's kind of cool, but
it's
director's a dick.
David Fincher also did Seven, which absolutely would go in.
Mm-hmm.
I I think, 7 deserves to be in that company.
Is that in the 90s?
Yeah, that's 95.
Oh, that was an amazing movie, too. Yeah, with
and
Morgan
the game
Freeman.
was also in the 90s. That's fantastic. I don't know that I'm putting it in the movie Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely a masterpiece, I think. David Fincher's a great director. I even like Alien 3 from him. I'm not going to put it in the Hall of Fame, but I enjoy Alien 3 for what it is. And I enjoy Predator 2 for what it is. It's not a great movie. I like Predator. I have fun with those movies. So, Aliens 3, we have Alien Resurrection, which definitely is not even going to get mentioned on this podcast ever again. Schindler's List is a Hall of Fame film. Saving Private Ryan's a Hall of Fame film. And Saving Private Ryan didn't win Best Picture because Shakespeare in Love happened because Harvey Weinstein lobbied for it to win. Yeah, that's a long, creepy story. There's actually a YouTube, I saw on YouTube, a documentary thing a guy did about that, about how Harvey Weinstein kind of like lobbied and paid people and like took sexually advantage of people to have that movie beat Saving Private Ryan, which is an incredible accomplishment in filmmaking.
Yeah.
I mean, Saving Private Ryan is one of those fantastic films.
I would have that on my Hall of Fame.
In your Hall of Fame, yeah.
Probably
I mean,
for the 90s.
all those movies, and then 7.
Saving Private Ryan.
I mean, there's a bunch more I could think of if I wanted to really go there. For right now, those are the ones I'm going to throw in. So I threw, 5 movies in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I'll throw some in there. There's,
I mean, Forrest Gump I throw in. Shawshank Redemption.
I was going to say Forrest Gump. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows The Green Mile.
Green Mile's incredible.
That's an amazing
That's
one.
from the same guy who did Shawshank.
Shawshank Redemption.
Absolutely.
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction's a Hall of Fame,
Fiction.
yeah.
Goodfellas.
Goodfellas,
An
absolutely.
amazing. Fargo was great.
Fargo, yeah.
If you haven't seen
Big Lebowski, I'd throw in.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Braveheart, that's an amazing story.
Braveheart,
story
I would
about,
throw in. I love Braveheart.
That's my mom's favorite movie, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's she's because we're Scottish, so she
yeah.
she loves the
I'm part
story
Scottish. I got a little bit in me.
Scotch Irish.
Yeah.
And,
but Miller.
the
That
one
makes
side,
sense.
Yeah. Well, it's actually McMichael.
McMichael.
Yeah, and then they switched it to
Kevin McMichael.
They switched it to Mac Michael later, and now I'm Miller. That's a German English. So,
Yeah, I got German in me. I got a lot of German in me.
Yeah, I gotta.
Like I'm Russian, German, and Scottish. That's a weird combo, but
Man,
that's how it goes.
Yeah, my cousin did the ancestry thing,
Yeah.
and I got a little bit of. I'm like Scandinavian, Scotch, Irish.
I got mine's like Swedish.
Got
German,
some Viking in there and shit. So I'm a brutal motherfucker. Iron Giant was an amazing,
incredible. For kids movie. That's
kids movie.
That's animated Hall of Fame. I throw it in.
Aladdin came out in '92.
Yeah,
that was great with Robin Williams' performance, and that was one of the most iconic fucking animated characters.
Yeah, no, that's great. Lion King's great.
Yeah, Lion King.
Pixar started.
Yeah.
You get Toy Story 2.
Yeah, not a lot of people knew that was Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs' thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. One of my movies I loved growing up. It's like, I guess it's not the most.
I still think Pixar's like the best.
The Mummy was.
The Mummy.
I love
that's not in the Hall of Fame.
I wouldn't put that in my Hall of Fame.
No way near.
But I loved that growing
Independence Day.
Independence Day.
That's a fun one. I have fun.
Yeah, that was
Did you see the sequel? Have you seen Resurgence?
It was.
Oh my god! It was a hot dog shit.
Yeah,
there were so many moments where I just didn't care about anything. There's a part where there's characters on a roof and they just die. And you don't give a single fuck.
Jeff Goldblum must have made some money on that.
Like,
I'll make some money. Yeah, I'll make some money.
I'll make some money. And then he did Thor Ragnarok, and he's like, I'm in an actually decent movie.
Jumanji came out in '95.
Oh, Jumanji. That movie scared me as a kid. When we got it from the video store, I watched it. I was like, oh my god.
No, I don't know if this came out in the '90s or 2000s. Mars Attacks. That was a scary movie when I grew up.
That is '90s, I believe.
But that is a funny movie now. Like if I watch it now, it's funny.
Oh, it's hilarious.
But back when I was a kid, it was so fucking scary because it's like It's
Tim
like,
Burton.
Fucking
that's
shit.
the thing. Tim Burton freaks you out as a kid and makes you laugh as an adult.
Yeah, that's true. One that came out in the '90s.
Ed Wood was incredible. That's his Oscar movie.
Nightmare Before Christmas. That was a good.
I think.
That was Tim Burton.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's Tim Burton. He produced it. The guy who directed that did the new Bumblebee movie of all things. But he also did Kubo and the Two Strings. Yeah, he did a lot of good stuff. He's in Leica Studios' like go-to director.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Which is cool.
Silence of the Lambs. 91.
Yeah, Silence of the Lambs. That's a Hall of Famer.
Silence of the Lambs.
That's such a great movie.
That's inspired by Ed Gein.
See, I love horror movies, and that's one of the all-time greats. That's up there with like Psycho. I wouldn't put it above Psycho because I think if you think about horror movies, there's stuff before Psycho, and then there's Psycho. Like,
did you ever hear the stuff that Ed Gein did? The stuff.
Oh,
that,
it's some fucked shit.
Fucked up. Yeah, he skinned people.
Now, was he the guy who was attractive? That's why he was able to get girls.
No, that was
Dahmer.
No, he was with dudes.
Weird,
he was with dudes,
yeah,
actually.
I don't want to even think about
Bundy.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Might have been Ted
He was making a
Bundy.
zombie person, which is kind of weird.
There's Ted Bundy in there.
Yeah, Ted Bundy might have been the guy.
Yeah, it could have been.
Ted Bundy Tapes was the thing that recently came out.
Yeah,
so
that just came out.
Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
He was the attractive guy.
Yeah.
So he messed up.
Ed
But he did like
Gein-
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Ed Gein was like he I guess he invited people to his farm and then he'd kill them and he had like.
That's why you don't go to the farm.
I know.
That's why you don't go to the farm.
His mom
farm?
died and then he went like insane after that and started killing it. And then that inspired Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Silence of the Lambs.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a crazy good movie. I love the original. We have the remake. That's from the 2000s. We could talk about that then. It's not as good as the original.
Was the sequel to
fun.
Silence of the Lambs in the 90s? Hannibal?
Hannibal might have been 2000. It's a Ridley Scott movie.
He's eating that guy's brain at the end. That's crazy.
And then there's Red Dragon.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
I have all of those movies. I like them. I have Manhunter too.
Was Red Dragon good?
Yeah, Red Dragon.
That was a prequel to everything.
It's pretty
right?
good. Now here's the thing. I have my own kind of scale. I'd say those movies are definitely worth a watch, and I think they're worth owning.
I wouldn't put
I like
all
Ridley
of them
Scott.
on my.
I love everything Ridley Scott does. Yeah. I love in the 90s Ridley Scott. Speaking of Ridley Scott, Blade Runner's director's cut came out in the 90s. The first time it came out without the.
That's the one that I have.
Without Harrison Ford's talking over the movie, he doesn't narrate it. Like in the original theatrical cut, it's narration.
They have narration in it?
You didn't know that?
No,
the original cut of Blade Runner has narration.
I have the director's cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
The director's cut was so good because they took the narration out, so it lets this movie breathe. This was what Ridley Scott originally intended. It's so beautiful. One of the best things ever. It saved the movie from obscurity. Like, nobody would care about Blade Runner if it didn't get that director's cut. People watch that version, and they go, this is one of the all-time greatest films. It's one of my all-time favorites. It's the movie that changed the way I looked at movies.
Yeah, let the music tell the story instead of somebody
such an
telling you what's
incredible film.
I never liked narration because it's kind of like, you don't really need to tell me what's
it works
happening.
in like classic movies because the style worked that way. But it was so forced for Blade Runner.
Well, you have to.
Like,
back then, you had to set something up. Like,
yeah.
Now you don't have to set anything up. The story tells itself.
Shawshank Redemption failed at the box office. Nobody went to see it because they're like, "What the hell's a Shawshank Redemption?" Yeah, and then they saw it at the movie store and they were like, "Oh, 7 Oscars. Okay, I'll check this out."
That's
Threw
hilarious.
it in. They threw that movie in and they went, "Holy shit!" I mean, Shawshank Redemption, now it helps that it got nominated for 7. It didn't win a single Oscar, which is a damn shame.
Yeah, that must
Every performance in that movie is incredible. Morgan Freeman, and his narration works in Shawshank. Narration frickin' works for Shawshank. Yeah. That movie got saved by VHS. And then we also got The Thing that got saved by VHS in the 90s and a lot of other titles. Video Nasties in England kind of, I guess, finally started getting okay. So people were able to finally see, like, Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. Army of Darkness is in the 90s. And, like, a lot of, like, direct-to-VHS became a thing. It became such a bigger thing in the 90s. Like, you'd get, while I don't like them, the Puppet Master series was a lot in the 90s, which is... They're some of the worst movies I've ever seen, but I have to realize, like, I think somebody cared about it. You know, people watched them.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
2000.
Yeah, I have no proof that anybody gives a shit about the Puppet Master series. Yo, if you like Puppet Master, give me a really nice comment. Throw something nice in the comments.
I've never seen Puppet Master, so
Puppet Master, it's not good. It's not.
I'll
good.
take your word for that.
They're so bad. They're so bad, but apparently they're so bad they're good. But I I thought they were just so bad they were bad. Troll 2 was 90. No, it was 1990.
Sixth Sense is 99.
Sixth Sense was 99. 99 was a good year too. You had everybody goes 99 was a good year. Iron Giant.
You had The Mummy.
Dogma was 99, I think.
Was it? Yeah.
That's a good one.
I need to watch that.
That's good.
Green Mile.
Green Mile.
The Matrix came out in 99.
Matrix was 99.
Fight Club 99.
Fight Club. Okay, now I'm remembering why 99 was so good.
So there's a lot of...
Toy Story 2 was 99.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Really? I thought that was more recent. Yeah, Toy Story 4 just had a preview.
I'm excited for Toy Story 4.
I watched that, yeah.
I'm going to cry because I think they're going to kill Woody or Buzz or somebody. Just like in the Robot Chicken sketch where he comes home and he turns Buzz Lightyear into a bong.
Yeah.
And he lights him up and he's like, me go beep boop bop. And then they smother him in his sleep.
I don't know if they'll end it by killing anybody because it's still a kids series. So but it's also for the people that grew up watching it.
I know it's gonna rip. Toy Story 3 was a hard one to watch because when he goes away to college and he's like,
yeah, I don't like people. I hear a lot of people that say that one's the best, but I think the first one is the first one. Randy Newman is an incredible musician, and his stuff. Got a friend in me.
You
got a friend.
People make fun of him, but everybody makes fun of him, Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, Tom Petty.
You see that Family Guy sketch?
They're incredible musicians.
You see that Family Guy
Nowadays, if you're ugly and
him?
you don't have a singing voice, you're just thrown in a trash can because you're not technically good. Which is the same shit happened in the 90s. No, in the 80s. And then the fucking 90s were like, ugly dudes who are good musicians can be heroes. Look at Nirvana. Fucking never mind, man. People had their assholes bleed because that music was incredible. And I mean that like they blew stuff out their ass because it's so incredible. I don't even know what that means, but it means something. Fucking Nevermind was incredible. Alice in Chains' Dirt and Jar of Flies are two of the best albums ever. Pearl Jam 10 was incredible. Radiohead's OK Computer, one of the best albums I ever heard in my life. It's such an incredible album. It's such a crazy journey. Nothing's like it. All of those albums are going to get my Music Hall of Fame stamp. I'm going to go with Music Hall of Fame with them. They are definitely worthy of that. I definitely think a movie that might get Hall of Fame status because of how important it was and how it changed things. Scream came out in the 90s. It was 96. Slashers were dead.
I never really liked Scream as much, probably because they made fun of it in Scary Movie.
But see, Scream was making fun of it. So Scary Movie was bullshit because it didn't make any sense.
So wait, Scream wasn't really a series. It wasn't a serious movie.
No, Scream was jabbing at the slasher
So that's
genre.
why I didn't like it.
Yeah,
because I wanted it to be more of a serious. I don't really get scared by horror movies, but I like it if you try. You know.
Well, Scream was trying to make a joke of things.
Yeah,
and that's
I
why
get
it's specifically funny.
Yeah, I thought Scary Movie was the joke about that.
See, that's why the spoof doesn't work. They made fun of a joke.
Yeah. Okay.
But here's the Scream's. It's a good movie as the joke, and it's scary in spots. There's a part where, ladies would hang and her insides are out or something, and they kill
disembowel,
people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to compare it to, like, Day of the Dead by George Romero, but, like, I think it's one of those really good slashers. Like, it's one of the best slashers, which I think slashers are a weird genre. Like, they kind of died in the 90s because they have, like, the top tier as some great movies. Then you have a whole bunch of good ones. And then you have a whole giant pile of shit.
Like, 90s is interesting in the fact that, like, yeah, there's some great stuff, but then there's just some, like what happened? There's just, like, a pile of shit. Like, like, some people were just trying some new stuff, and then after they tried all the new stuff, now we got the newer days of everyone's fucking recreating all the stuff that everyone else already came up with. Be original. Please.
Yeah. The 90s is when you started getting assembly line music where they're like, okay, we're going to get Britney Spears and
and it's like the same three chords work for everything. Like, I get that you can make some different songs.
You said chord, that's hilarious.
That's terrible.
Like modern music has guitar players. That's great. No, modern mainstream music is so bad. Like, it's like unforgivably bad.
Yeah.
It's just really crazy. Like, I like a lot of music that's out there today, but all the stuff I listen to is more underground. Like, I'll listen to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, which clearly aren't going to get, like, radio play on top 40.
That sounds like a song about a wiener. Like, what?
Well,
what is it?
Well,
what's
King
the name?
Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Yeah, look.
The
Lizard Wizard.
Well, because the Lizard King, Jim Morrison, man.
Yeah, but the Lizard Wizard kind of, like, the Lizard King sounds cool. The Lizard Wizard sounds like you like you suck cock for a living.
Wolfgang, the Lizard Wizard. And Wolfgang's listening. He's just like, I hate you guys.
Everyone wants to be a wizard, but the true wizard is Jimmy Page.
Jimmy Page.
Jimmy Page. He's a
He
fucking
did the Coverdale
wizard.
and Page was in the 90s.
Oh yeah,
great.
that was good though.
It has
there are
some really
good
good
blues tracks on there.
It has its moments where you're like, wow. And then there's some stuff on there where you're like, this is all right.
It's kind of like how I said, like you get amazing musicians together and you expect it to be great, but like sometimes they just don't connect as well as you thought they would.
They don't have Led Zeppelin around them. Like David Coverdale could sing with Zeppelin and they'd be fine.
Yeah,
because he's an incredible singer.
Yeah, that's true.
Honestly, hair bands kind of died in the 90s. I think we already said that, but like them and like the ballad bands.
Yeah, but that's okay.
We're kind of okay with that.
That's
like,
okay.
Hairband stuff's fine when you look at it in the time capsule. If you're there in the 80s, I'm sure that was a load of fun. But just like 2000s dance music's terrible.
Yeah.
It's nostalgic.
Yeah, it had its time. Like
Motley
Crue and Poison and that shit.
Motley
like,
Crue has some cool stuff.
When
like,
they came out,
album.
they were the heaviest fucking thing around. Like that fucking, they had some heavy shit. They were great. But like, standing up to time, they're not like. I mean,
like I think Iron Maiden's incredible.
I can't say they don't. I can't say that they
up.
don't hold up because certain tracks do. But I mean, like,
people still scream "Living on a Prayer" and like that song's.
Nobody's like, I can't wait for the
overplayed, but it's
more hair metal.
Yeah, like the stuff's fine. It's just overplayed too.
Yeah,
like everybody knows. Like you're gonna hear it at the hockey game, but you don't want to hear it at home.
It's kind of a genre that couldn't stand for long.
Yeah, it wasn't like rock and roll where it was serious. It was like that,
they made fun of it.
It's glam. Bit. It's called glam. They look like women and they dressed in like weird
drag,
like
Twisted Sister.
It's not gonna be cool for long. Just like a lot of like mumble rap's terrible and not gonna hold up. Like people are doing it now,
especially if you look at it in today's like culture, like the way that it is now. Back then they were dressing like women and shit, and it was like.
Yeah, and that was cool.
It wasn't, I guess it was like kind of punk-like.
Yeah.
But nowadays, if you do it, it's just like more of like, okay, we accept it. Like, you would have to like accept that and be like, these people have made a decision in life and that's what they want to do. Like, the mentality is just like, can't have fun with it anymore.
Yeah.
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 I mean, I'd say the attitude definitely changed, and I even wrote down attitude.
Boom.
Like, if you're a friend of wrestling, I enjoy watching some of the old wrestling stuff. WWF.
Is that when The
like
Rock
Stone
was
Cold,
in it?
The Rock, yeah. Bret Hart. You had
I saw
Hulk Hogan and Macho Man were still around.
I saw
Roddy Piper was still there. And it turned into the Attitude Era where they would just slam each other with chairs.
I went to a
Mankind,
WWE show one time, and I saw
like early 2000s.
I saw
if
no,
you went
it
then,
was
that'd have been cool.
It was 2014, 15.
Okay,
something. I saw
that'd
the
be
Great
fun,
Khali. That he was a tall motherfucker.
Yeah,
he was in The Longest Yard. That's the only thing I know of him in.
Yeah, he was huge.
But that was cool. It was cool. It was an experience. So I'm glad I went.
Yeah.
It's not like something I'm enthusiastic about. But
yeah,
I mean,
I'm not going to sit there and be like, WWE is life. I know friends who love it.
Some of those characters, they took it and went fucking big. Like, The Rock is one of the biggest actors today. Like, he was recently one of the most biggest paid. Yeah, he was a wrestler in WWE.
Nick Cage was in the 90s. We got a lot of good Nick Cage. Con Air is in a Hall of Fame. That's a Hall of Fame movie.
Ooh, was that the 90s?
Yeah, Con Air would be like 99.
Con Air was good. There was some good stuff in that.
For what it is,
yeah.
It's the best movie of its genre.
Yeah.
Cheesy 90s action, nothing tops Con Air. I would give that Hall of Fame status, but I'd laugh
And
way
he
too
gets
hard.
an award for the worst Southern accent ever.
But it's I love Nick Cage. He's the most entertaining actor of all time.
He's the best, before, he's the lowest A class, before you get B class actor, basically. You know,
Yeah.
he's still A class, but Gone in 60 Seconds, or not that. What was it? Was that the
Treasure.
one? The one where you can see a certain amount of time. behind
Knowing.
him? No, not knowing. But he can see the past, and then it just ends up the end, they're trying to stop nukes, and then he goes through all these different
I have no
probabilities and stuff. Then you don't like Nicolas Cage
I
as much
love
as
Nick
you think.
Cage,
I
man.
think it's called Next. I think it's Next.
We're gonna have to do a Nick Cage episode.
That'll be an interesting episode.
We got to do a whole bunch for that.
That'll be an interesting episode.
Yeah, Nick Cage, man.
Yeah. Ghost Rider.
Oh, that's not 90,
Let's not
so we're
talk
gonna
about it.
hold that. How about Ghost Rider 2? Oh my god.
Wait, did it happen? Or is it going
It's
to
one
happen?
of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
It happened.
It happened.
And Nicolas Cage was in it.
Yeah.
There was a second Ghost Rider.
It's one of the worst movies I've seen in my life. I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. You might want to see. We should do that for Nick Cage episode.
That'd be
We're gonna
interesting.
so we're gonna do what, Star Wars next week. Then we can do Nick Cage. I'm
Sure.
okay if we're not bouncing
That's
around
fine.
doing it exactly like one then the other.
Oh
one,
yeah,
then
it's
the other.
fine. It doesn't matter.
So yeah, we'll do Star Wars then that.
Yeah, you guys can
So
look
we gave you
look forward to Star Wars next week. It's
Yeah, we're
gonna be
spoiling
fun.
it. We get spoiler
Oh,
alert.
Spoiler
Next
alert.
week, Star Wars.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Star Wars, then you're
Yeah, guys, if you haven't seen it, watch Star Wars. Get ready for it. Definitely watch the original trilogy, and then we'll talk about the other movies.
Yeah, if I would recommend watching it the way it came out. To be honest,
Yeah, watch
I
4,
haven't.
5, 6.
I didn't see the first.
I watched the
three that
originals
came
before
out.
I saw the prequels. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see them for years, and then I watched them, and I was just like, wow, I was really missing out.
Yeah.
Damn, the quality went up in
Oh, if you watch 1, 2, 3, and then you see 4, 5, 6, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, but the storytelling went was better back then almost.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
the quality of everything else went up for the prequels. It was interesting.
What quality
watch
in the
that.
prequel?
The visual quality and then the CGI and stuff like that. They had better equipment and stuff for
Yeah.
it. So
But
they were
if you look though, the originals hold up better than the prequels have though.
that's what I mean though. The storytelling was way better
Yeah.
than
Episode
they are now.
5 looks so good. Okay,
Yeah,
gotta
we'll
save this
we'll
for
get into
Star
that next time. But back to the 90s.
Back to the 90s. So we ran through. So Music Hall of Fame we gave to Alice Chains, Dirt, and Jar of Flies.
Yeah, and I'd have to do Pantera and Megadeth.
Yeah,
There
Rest
you
in
go. And
Peace.
Slayer.
And
Slayer for Seasons in the Abyss.
Yeah, you know what? We could do certain albums in the Hall of Fame, but also bands. Honestly, I'd say Alice in Chains, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Radiohead are my Hall of Famers for music, just to keep it short, sweet, simple, to the point.
Yeah, I'd have to do some research to figure out the albums and stuff like that, but that's for another time.
For bands, you'd go,
Yeah.
Pantera, Metallica, Megadeth?
Yeah, for
Yeah, no, those are great choices. Yeah, it's good Hall of Fame.
in the early 90s, so that.
Let's say, so yeah, we already talked about how the death of the slasher and the hair metal happened. Horror movies kind of changed. They were really mainstream in the 80s, and then the 90s happened, and horror movies just disappeared. I guess it's because we stopped.
It kind of changed.
They changed. There's some good stuff in there. Seven, it's kind of a horror movie, and it's really good.
Right?
In the Mouth of Madness is a great John Carpenter horror film in the 90s. Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, Silence of the Lambs.
They kind of became more thrillers.
That was early 90s.
Thrillers were really a 90s thing, where that became what horror was focused on. And they actually won awards. Silence of the Lambs won Best Picture. Think about that. It's the only horror film to ever do that.
That was a great fucking... That was shot amazingly.
Oh,
though.
yeah. Silence of the Lambs, all-time great.
Anthony Hopkins, awesome in anything that he's in.
Anthony Hopkins is a great actor.
Yeah.
Anthony Shopkins is such
Anthony Shopkins.
Anthony Shopkins.
I think he's still acting, too. He was in something recently.
He was in the Transformers, the newest one.
He was?
Yeah, it's so bad.
That's
Transformers
interesting.
movies.
I thought they should have stopped.
I like the first
They
one.
should have stopped a
They should
couple.
have stopped at the first
They
one.
should have stopped a couple movies
The
ago.
third one was fine too. The second one was kind of bad.
No, it's funny.
But I enjoy it.
The one
I watched
with
first
the one
three,
with
I can
Mark
enjoy it.
Wahlberg in it. I'm sure that he's in
4
the
and
newest
5,
one.
yeah.
Like Mark Wahlberg does a great job in it, but
Yeah, he's fine. But
it's a Transformers
this
movie.
This is a waste of a perfectly good Bud Light. He's a Patriots fan, so I'm sure he's happy about
it was
the
a
Super Bowl.
perfectly bad use of Mark Wahlberg. Like he had a great actor.
Vinyl kind of
could've
went
done it.
away in the 90s. We went more to like CDs, which is kind of sad, but it was also cool because like I guess you could really take any album with you in the car.
Don't you?
I mean, you already had cassettes.
Do you feel the same way with me
Eight-track.
that you hate that they're forcing the use of digital shit instead of CDs?
Yeah, they're
my
making you get
car.
rid of CDs.
I just got a new car. It doesn't have a fucking CD player in it.
Yeah.
It didn't come with a CD player. It's a 2017.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So they're forcing using digital technology, and it's just
That
like
sucks,
CDs
'cause
are still like.
I still throw my CDs in my car. I love having my CDs.
I have 2 CDs in my car, and I don't have a fucking CD player. It's like ridiculous. And
my
it's
friend
just
has a
like,
cassette player in his car, so he gets cassettes and he plays like.
I used in my last car. I had a
Megadeth
cassette.
and,
I had a cassette.
Metallica.
That's cool. That's cool.
But just sit there and think about it, like they don't have these. That's crazy. They don't have CD players anymore. So now CDs are going away.
Yeah,
now.
but they're forcing it.
They're forcing it away. Everybody just does
Like
digital
vinyls,
vinyls
went away for a little bit because
They
it kind
kinda
of
came
just
back.
it just kind of like went a. It
Because
wasn't as
everybody just
popular.
sat there and they were like, well, CDs you can fit in a pocket. You can't put a vinyl in a pocket.
Yeah, but they didn't force it away. Like they didn't shove it away. They're
They
like
kind of did
they're
actually.
pussy.
Like vinyls
Vinyls?
were stopped getting sold in stores. They would be at mom and pop shops and like
Yeah.
record shops still were a thing, but like.
But I
the only
feel
way
like
to get records now are still
at that
record
point,
shops.
most people still had a fucking feed.
But yeah, CDs they don't sell them at
vinyl
Best Buy
player.
anymore. They have like a bin.
Really?
Everything's $5.99.
It's the downfall.
Well, because
The
they're like, we
90s.
don't need physical media anymore. Everything's streaming.
And
And it's
that-
like, what happens if the internet doesn't work that
Yeah,
day?
what if-
so I have nothing.
What if a solar flare hits Earth and shuts everything down, and then you have your cloud's gone, and then you lost everything you just paid for too. If you have CDs, actually that might still fuck up CDs.
You could have batteries in a CD player.
You can put CDs in a box that'll be protected by fucking solar flares, and the technology will be fucked. And then you can still listen to your goddamn CDs.
See, we're giving you a reason to keep CDs.
Yeah, for real. Some things are best kept the way that they are. But, you know.
But streaming is the only thing that's important because I stream, and stream is so amazing because the internet never has problems. Oh, wait a minute. It has problems every
Oh, yeah.
day.
I forgot. It created piracy.
Yeah.
Basically,
And
you
then
know?
being an artist nowadays, somebody's like, why would I pay for music?
Yeah.
And it's like, why should I give you $8 for your album
That-
when I can just stream it for 23 cents?
That annoys
You
me.
can get 23 cents for all of my plays. I don't know why you want me to buy your album. and
People
support
knew
you.
that I was trying to be like a musician and make music and shit, and they told me that, and they're like, "Why would I pay for music when I could get it for free?" And it's like, because you're supporting the artists.
Yeah.
They can't make music if you don't support them.
Well, and that's the thing. Nobody wants to support artists anymore. They're just like, I'll stream. But sometimes they will buy T-shirts, so I guess you gotta have a cool T-shirt.
Yeah,
It's the only
but
thing that matters.
nowadays you can't make money on ticket sales. Most bands make money on their merchandise when
Yeah.
they're touring.
Well, yeah, nowadays, if you're a small-time band, you have to pay to play at a place. Like, how bullshit is that?
I know.
Yeah, oh, you should sell tickets. Why should I sell tickets? It's your place.
I think it's funny because
I'm a band guy.
I've performed.
I'm here to
I've performed
play
at
the
multiple
music.
places, and yeah, I've had to pay to play. But my dad has he just started a band. I'm sure he's good, but he's getting paid to play at places, and I'm jealous. I'm jealous. It's because older people get taken more seriously than.
Well, yeah, because you're just some kid.
But
Yeah.
I'm not just some kid. I'm fucking trying.
DVDs started coming out. That was the 90s.
In the 90s?
That changed things because now we started getting like special features. and
Now we
things.
have Blu-rays.
We got Blu-rays. I still like
Blu-rays.
VHS for like horror movies. they were helped by the VHS format because especially as they start deteriorating, it gets more and more creepy. Especially if you have something where like the fog comes up over something. Now you really can't see what's going on, and it'll really scare you.
Oh my God! I have a good thing about VHS about The Mummy.
I also have
the movie, the Mummy.
They're film.
I remember watching.
And they're analog.
When I watched The Mummy on VHS, there's a scene where he's on this boat, and their background, and there's this blue background, and you can tell that it's just a wall on the VHS. You can just tell it's a blue painted wall. But then I watched it on DVD, and they like put in fog, and it looks like it's a background and shit. But I just like noticed like VHS showed some of the raw stuff more than what they can edit stuff out in the DVD.
Well, here's the thing about VHS also though. Stuff where you would like see the zipper, you'd never see the zipper on something on a VHS. So Creature from the Black Lagoon's more legit in VHS because you can't see.
You can see zippers on that in the DVD.
In the Blu-ray, I got the my Blu-ray set on my 4K. You can be like, I see the fucking zipper. You know,
it's actually kind of cool though.
It's
like,
cool
that's
though because
authentic.
now you get like the nostalgia there. And you're like these people, like back in the day, they used suits and they didn't have CGI to just do everything in post. So like filmmakers had to try back in the day. Like I don't think that people try as hard anymore. And I know that's a blanket statement. I mean that mostly in the mainstream, like guys like Gaspar Noé and Jean. Von Trier, Lars von Trier is, like you have those kind of guys, and Denis Villeneuve. You got a lot of guys who are really trying a lot of really cool things. So I can't make that blanket statement, but I think in the mainstream, like they don't try as hard. Speaking of trying hard, video game systems in the 90s, you got your SNES, your Sega Genesis. That was like the first part of the 90s. That battle. I mean, I have an SNES and I got a Genesis, and they're just so cool with a lot of those great games.
I don't know why I forgot this.
Video games?
Chris Farley was in the 90s.
Okay, completely unrelated. Chris Farley. Yo, Black Sheep, Tommy Boy.
My God.
They're down in the river.
Saturday Night Live had all the...
Saturday Night Live was really funny in the 90s.
I don't know why.
It was like the last great decade for Saturday Night Live because it kind of like.
But Tommy Boy and all those movies, Chris Farley was an amazing fucking.
Yeah, no, I love Chris Farley. Was really funny. Tommy Boy, it's such a funny movie, even though I know it's like dumb. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not gonna sit here and be like Kubrick made Tommy Boy. No.
Well.
Kubrick did Eyes Wide Shut in the 90s. That's a great one. I love that. But no, Chris Farley, completely different thing. I mean, Kubrick movie.
It's a comedy movie. I mean, you're going into watching. It's an experience. Oh, yeah. It's an experience. Everything that Chris Farley's in.
That guy in a little coat.
Yeah,
fat guy in a little coat.
Fat guy in a little coat.
Yo, is your favorite team the New York Yankees? Yo, the 90s were good for the Yankees, man. They won a lot of World Series there at the end. With the core four, they had Jeter, Mariano Rivera. Posada, I think, was there. Bernie Williams was there.
Yeah, basically, you couldn't say the baseball without hearing Yankees.
Yeah, it was good because the 80s were not good for the Yankees. That was their worst decade ever. They sucked in the 80s, and everybody knows it. So
then we got the
N64, PlayStation 1, and Sega Saturn. That was like the next battle there.
I've played some PlayStation 1 games.
I have the PS1 Classic. Yeah. I know it's supposed to be a bad system, but I'm hacking it, so I'm looking forward to that. I hacked the other systems, NES and SNES. And I shouldn't be saying this over the podcast because I don't think it's illegal. In Japan, apparently it is illegal though. Like there was a guy who was hacking the systems, and like he told people he was. And, like, apparently Nintendo heard about it, and they're like, oh. So I hope Nintendo's not listening to this. But then again, we're in America. I'm pretty sure you can hack a system. Nobody gives a shit.
I don't think we're big enough for that. No one from Nintendo.
And the thing is, with getting, like, ROMs and stuff to put on their systems, it's really hard to find sites now because all the good ROM sites went down. So I hope you already got the ROMs. But I was able to get them all off of this one site right before it went down. There was, EMU Paradise. I got a lot of good stuff on there.
I didn't have the Nintendo 64, but my cousin had that. I had the Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo was a cool system.
I thought it was amazing. I loved it.
My
mom threw it out.
Why?
And all my games because she thought I wasn't playing it anymore, even though it was hooked up to the TV.
Oh, and you had all the games. You threw them out.
Dude, I had Clay Fighter.
You
I had
she
Super.
threw out Clay Fighter.
I had
No.
Super Mario
Kevin, are you serious?
World. Yeah.
She threw it out. She threw the games out.
She threw all the games in the
Clay
system.
Fighter's like a $250 game.
Yeah, I realized this. I know.
She threw out like probably like $1,000 or more worth of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it made me depressed for years.
When was this?
Oh, it was a long time ago. Middle school, probably. I like brought it up from the basement to play
in middle
it.
school
and I
you'd
was
have been such
playing
a cool kid. Well, here's the thing, because you could have sold all that and like gotten a PS3 or something, like got a legit setup.
I would rather keep it than sell it though,
Yeah.
because I'm that kind of person. I don't like to sell my shit. But I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't like
I mean,
selling
in 20 years, if I still had that shit, then I could sell it for like fucking a lot of money.
You
Sure.
could've got, like $1,000.
But I'd still probably want to play the games. And usually, I noticed that with games, if I sell them years later, I want to play them again, and I end up fucking buying them again. So
Your
you
mom
might as well
just
keep it.
trashed your
She
SNES?
trashed the fucking Super Nintendo.
It still worked?
Yeah, it was hooked up to the TV and everything.
I got the SNES Classic, so it's kind of cool. So I'm happy enough.
So you-
I got an original GameCube though. That wasn't in the '90s though. So, but like, and then Sega Saturn's supposedly like a really great system, but nobody bought it here in the U.S. So that's a shame. Couple of underrated gems from the '90s. In the Mouth of Madness by John Carpenter is a great horror movie. Cemetery Man's another one. That went kind of under the radar. It's a Spanish-Italian film. It's really good if you like horror movies. And then there's Eyes Wide Shut from Stanley Kubrick, which went kind of under the radar about like certain like this kind of. You have to watch the movie. Kubrick's movies you can't really explain. Like if I would, it would spoil stuff, but it would also not really spoil it because it's more complex than you think it is.
Yeah, you can't watch a Kubrick movie once, basically.
Yeah,
and
like
know what
you're
happened.
gonna watch it. Yeah. So I could tell you everything about the movie, and then you'd watch it, you'd still be like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Every one of his movies is Inception.
Yeah. Woodstock happened twice in the 90s. We got Woodstock 95 and 99.
But
Or it
they
was
never
94,
live up to the
99.
real thing.
Oh, yeah,
it's
no, I
always
mean,
it's
The
always
original Woodstock is the most incredible show you can get on DVD and Blu-ray.
along with the people trying to make the non-original things nowadays. They're making free.
Yeah, they're
Woodstock.
doknow Woodstock 50 this year. I'm not even joking. But who are
That's
they going to
cool.
get?
That's cool.
If they don't
but-
get like Joni Mitchell and Crosby, Stills and Nash, I don't care. Like, you got to get Creedence Clearwater Revival. If they did a reunion, that'd be awesome.
There's no
Zeppelin reunion.
There's no bands around nowadays like
Who?
that are like the bands that played there.
Yeah, that was like the greatest era in music is the 60s. Like 70s, 80s, 90s.
You could have
are all
not.
good.
You could have
All
not went to
real good.
Woodstock and went to a different show then, and
Isle
it
of
would
Wight, you still
still
been
better than a show nowadays.
That same year, 69, you could have seen a free concert which had the Rolling Stones and King Crimson was the opening band.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin had a show the same
did a
day,
whole
I
bunch.
think,
It was
as
even
one, and
bigger.
it had a bigger turnout. Yeah, than
It was just because it was Zeppelin.
Yeah.
But there was one, Isle of Wight, that might have been that show. Because like it was like Bob Dylan, Paul McCartney, and John Lennon, and like
that might have been
it was like
it.
this huge thing.
No, I think that was a different show too, and that had a bigger turnout too.
Wow.
Like there was two separate shows, and they both had a bigger turnout than Woodstock. But Woodstock got all the shit because
Woodstock-
they just broke down a fence and became free
And the
concert.
People shout all over themselves.
You
It was a
imagine
free
if you
concert.
paid for the concert and then you're just like, fuck.
Here's the thing though, if you kept that ticket though and you still
Oh,
have it,
yeah.
that thing's probably worth money.
Yeah.
If you have a Woodstock ticket.
Along with that, I still wouldn't fucking sell it. I'd keep it. I'm one of those people.
Yeah, I mean that's
It'd
the
be cooler
value
to
of it.
have it than to sell it
Yeah,
and
you're
then get
thinking
the
like
money
I can
for
get
it.
$2,000 for this. I'm selling away one of my best memories
Dude,
for
you
$2,000.
you
know,
sell
it's like,
that, and then what are you going to spend the $2,000 on? Most likely, you're not going to invest it in stocks or anything.
yeah, you're gonna spend it on beer and bitches.
Yeah, and then you're going to be fucking so miserable that you did that, and you're going to be like, fuck, like this Nintendo thing. I'm
You
not
wish
happy
you still
about
had
it.
the
Yeah, I wish I
fucking-
still had it. But that's okay. It wasn't my fault. Sort of. I shouldn't have had it hooked up to the TV. I'm a dumbass. I shouldn't have been using it.
You should have had it hidden.
Yeah.
Is it secret? Is
Yeah.
it secret? Yo, I can't wait till we do a 2000s episode just to talk about the Lord of the Rings.
Oh my God, we got to do an episode on Lord of the Rings.
Oh, of course
probably.
we're
Yeah, straight up Lord of the Rings. Yeah,
that's a good one. Those are such good movies.
Yeah,
the 90s, back to the 90s. Yeah, as I said, the Yankees kind of returned to their glory days. Michael Jordan, he had his big run in the 90s. Yeah, and then the Cowboys had a dynasty. I talked about that earlier. You can't talk 90s without Pokemon.
I mean, like, Pokemon. I never tried to watch Pokemon. I was never like, yeah, let's watch some Pokemon. But, like, whenever you turn the TV on and you're doing something, Pokemon is on.
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon was on. And, like,
yeah,
it
like
gets
right
in there
after
no matter
school.
what. I remember in elementary school, I had a huge deck of Pokemon cards, and I started selling them to kids at school. And
They
then the
weren't as cool as
teacher,
Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
I had Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yeah.
I sold them too. And the teacher came up to me, and she's just like, "You're not allowed to be selling stuff on school property and stuff like that." I'm like, "Why not?"
What if you're selling the drugs?
And then this girl came up, and she's just like, "I'll buy all those cards for like $38." And I was just like, "Yes," because I was a little kid. I don't know the fucking value of those cards. I didn't really care. I just wanted some money for some video games. Like $30, $40 basically.
I mean, your deck was probably worth more than that, honestly. But you just wanted money. You're like, I want to buy Gears of War 3. You know?
Yeah. I was getting some PlayStation 2 game. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I got more.
PlayStation 2. Okay.
I got way more value out of that game than I did those cards.
Yeah, I just got a PS2. Speaking of 90s,
yeah.
even though I think that's 2000s, but that's beside the point.
I was going to ask if the PlayStation 2 came out in the 90s because that's...
PS1 was 95.
Yeah.
Well, see, it was the PlayStation in 95. Then they didn't call it the PS1 until like 99 when they realized they were doing a PS2. Because obviously you're not going to call the first system Xbox One, right? But you would call a system Xbox, then the third one's Xbox One.
Yeah, you wait until the
like,
third one to call it the
this
Xbox
one's Xbox One. Meanwhile, PlayStation's sitting there and they're like, bruh, not only are you stealing from us, but you're putting it as your third system. You should have called it Xbox 3. But wait a minute, that would have been confusing because the second one was 360. So it should have been, what, the 720? No, Xbox One. Because it's the third one.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Video games are insane, but I enjoy myself some video games. But I love that SNES, man. I got the classic. Man, playing Kirby on there, Super Mario World. How do you talk 90s about Super Mario World? That's so great. Event Horizon's a fun movie from the 90s if you like something that's kind of like The Thing meets Alien in space.
Jason X.
Oh, we don't talk about Jason X in this house. Pink Floyd had Division Bell, which I enjoy Division Bell.
Wasn't that their last one before their newest
Before
one?
Endless Forever, yeah. Some people shit on that album, and I never understand it because I think it's like one of the most original albums I've ever heard. It's this like ethereal overtone, and it's so incredible. And people are like, "Well, this isn't Pink Floyd because I can't dance to this song." And it's like Pink Floyd was never about dancing to it. Yes, you could dance to Another Brick in the Wall Part 2. And yes,
it's not Bob Marley.
Yeah. I love Bob Marley, but that's a whole nother story. That's for the 70s episode, which is definitely...
Yeah, it's not dancing music.
But yeah, I guess the last two things I got here are perhaps two of the biggest things because of how big a deal they are. I'll do this one first, which this is the big money one. The Titanic came out in the 90s.
James Cameron's
And it was like the highest grossing movie ever until Avatar came out. Because when James Cameron comes out with a new movie, people just go see it.
Yeah.
It's just like you're gonna
what a lot of people probably don't know about him is he's like amazingly smart.
Oh,
like,
James Cameron, he invented technology for filmmaking. And that's the thing. I gotta give the man credit because
he could have been a physicist if he didn't become a movie creator.
He probably could have done whatever he wanted to do. And
yeah, exactly. He could have done anything.
And
probably.
I mean, his first big budget movie, because his first movie was Piranha 2: The Spawning, which we don't talk about that. And technically, like one of the first movies he's worked on, and these were all for Roger Corman. He did a lot of Roger Corman pictures. These really cheap B movies that he got because they had a little bit of money to throw his way. And he made Piranha 2: The Spawning, and then he did Terminator, Aliens, The Abyss, Terminator 2, Titanic, and Avatar. Like, that's a hell of a repertoire and a resume, which I'm pretty sure are the same things, just different ways to say it. But in all honesty, James Cameron kind of dominated the 90s, especially with like money and stuff. Like Titanic and Terminator 2 together. You know how much money that is? That's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. That's...
Blockbusters kind of hit a new level in the 90s. They became like more frequent, I guess. Because you got like Braveheart, which that's phenomenal. We talked about that.
Amazing movie, yeah. About William Wallace in Scotland.
Oh, yeah. And it's just really crazy that I think after kind of when you look at Academy Award winners from the 80s, kind of a lot of them are kind of not the popular movies of the time. In the 90s, your Best Picture winners were popular, but also great substance kind of stuff. Like, they were great movies, but they were like appreciated by everybody. Like, critics and audience members kind of agreed on them. Then you also have your like, dude, where's my car kind of thing out there. But I enjoy that movie for what it is, but it's no Schindler's List. It's just funny that Titanic is the second highest grossing movie ever, only behind Avatar. And my last big point here, I know, Kevin, you probably have some stuff you want to touch on.
I just have some recommendations.
So, yeah. So, I'm going to do my last thing here, and then we'll go into recommendations. Dragon Ball Z really hit the United States in the 90s, and that show growing up was like my go-to thing. It was so incredible. I loved watching every episode, going through the Frieza saga, and then it would go through Cell saga. And I remember like both of those were just so incredible to like go through this journey with these guys. It was one of like my favorite shows. I really just got so into, you know, Goku's on an adventure and he's got to save the day. And then Gohan takes over. And I thought Cell Saga is a perfect ending. And I'm like, if you just take those two, I think the show's one of the best shows ever. The Majin Buu Saga is a little bit of a downward trend, I guess. But I don't think it hurts it that much. I think it's good. I think it's solid. It's fun. If you look at it more as like a Dragon Ball Super thing, kind of tied in with Super, kind of consider that the beginning of Dragon Ball Super, I think it's fantastic that way. But at the time, it's kind of a jarring change, and just Frieza and Cell are so incredible. Like, just staying with that, you're perfectly fine. So there's so much great stuff from DBZ. A lot of the movies came out then, like Brawly and Cooler, and we got a lot of those characters coming out. And I remember when one of them, when the first Cooler movie came out, I remember at Burger King, they had little toys come out with them. I remember playing with that. It was really cool. And I hadn't seen the movie yet, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like Frieza, but it's not Frieza, but it looks like Frieza, and I messed around with the toys, and it was really fun. And I like Dragon Ball Z a whole hell of a lot, and I think there's a lot of like good anime stuff that started coming out. And you got, I'm pretty sure Evangelion is from the 90s, and I'm sure Naruto, One Piece, and that stuff are from the 90s, although I have people tell me, oh, that's not real anime, Pokemon's not real anime, you don't know real anime. And it's like, everything from Speed Racer to like Sword Art Online is anime. I probably would rather watch Speed Racer than Sword Art Online. And I'd probably rather watch all my 90s anime over like modern stuff. Like a lot of like Ghost in the Shell is an incredible anime. And I love the way it looks because it's actually hand drawn. A lot of like Studio Ghibli stuff everybody loves, like Kiki's Delivery Service or Spirited Away. A lot of those movies. I love the Studio Ghibli movies. And I think a lot of those were released in the 90s and then 2000s subsequently. But Nausicaa is a really good one. I mean, I could just do an episode on that. Yeah. So I'm gonna kind of cap it there.
Well, some of the things that I missed earlier were there's a few shows, animated shows. This is a horrible. I shouldn't say horrible, but it's definitely an adult cartoon, Ren and Stimpy.
That should not have been on Nickelodeon.
That was a Billy West one right there.
Yeah, I really like Ren
Yeah.
and Stimpy.
Rugrats was in the 90s.
SpongeBob
Everybody
was
knows a little
99.
bit. Yeah, SpongeBob started
I remember
in the
when that
90s.
first came on, and I remember watching that as a kid. I was like, holy crap.
There's an
I love
episode
SpongeBob.
of SpongeBob that they play Pantera in.
Really?
I think it's Domination that they play. Yeah, it's interesting. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That was a great show.
That's a great show. Star Wars: The Phantom Menace was in the 90s. We did not note on
We
that
didn't
earlier.
talk about the Phantom Menace.
No.
How could we possibly forget the Phantom Menace?
Well, we're gonna leave that for the Star Wars.
we're gonna
episode.
save that. Yeah.
And there's The Tick.
Mhm.
That happened. That was
They recently brought
94
that
to
back.
96. You see the one with Peter, the guy that plays Joe in
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. Did you see Xena Warrior Princess and Hercules,
Hercules, yes, I remember
with
those.
Kevin Sorbo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disappointed.
Did you see Andromeda?
Andromeda.
Was that in the 90s? I think that might have been 2000
That might have
probably.
been 2000. What, Babylon AD, I think, was one of
Yeah.
them. And Babylon 5, my bad. Babylon AD is that really bad Vin Diesel movie.
Yeah.
Babylon 5 was a sci-fi thing. I hear people, that's like a big cult thing, and I hear good things about that.
Well, we'll move into my recommendations here. For some shows I would recommend, I've gone through them, but if you haven't seen The Sopranos, I would definitely check that out. Batman the Animated Series, we're all endorsing of that show.
Yeah, everybody would endorse that.
That would
yeah.
endorse that. If you haven't seen the Animaniacs, that's Steven
one.
Spielberg made that
Yeah, and
with WB.
Freakazoid was also WB.
And that included Pinky and the Brain. That was one of my favorite anime. It was a take on Orson Welles' voice for the Brain, and it's hilarious. You should check it out. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That was great in the 90s. You gotta check that out if you haven't seen that. That's what I have for shows. And for movies, if you haven't seen these movies, I would definitely watch them. Goodfellas, great mafia type movie. It has Ray Liotta, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci in it. Yeah, they're always
funny guy.
together. Yeah. Pulp Fiction, Quentin Tarantino's.
Reservoir Dogs is also
Everybody's
90s.
Yeah, that's an amazing movie.
And I like
I would
Jackie
also
Brown
put
also,
that.
yeah.
I would put Reservoir Dogs on there too.
Yeah?
Definitely, that's one of my
That's a great-
favorite Tarantino movies.
I love that.
That has
Mr. Pink. Why am I Mr. Pink?
that has Michael Madsen,
Oh,
Jim
Steve
Buscemi. Yeah, Steve Buscemi, Tim Roth.
Tim Roth, yeah.
As a great great
Oh yeah,
cast
it's
there.
so good.
Yeah.
I love Tarantino.
Braveheart. That's
Braveheart's
Mel
fantastic,
Gibson.
Yeah.
That's an amazing movie, and it tells a great story about the revolution that happened in Scotland thousands of years
it's an
ago.
incredible
It's a
movie. I
great
love
movie. Fifth Element.
Fifth Element's a
Fifth
fun one.
Element. That's a great
That's
movie
Luc
with
Besson. He
Bruce
also did
Willis.
Leon, he did Leon the Professional also, which is another 90s great
Yeah.
movie.
There's-
I got that on 4K.
There's a scene in that where there's this opera singer that's like a space opera, and she just goes into like crazy octaves. It's insane how they fuck with that, but it's not the. That's not. But it's a great movie. You should check it out. And the last one I have here is Unforgiven.
Oh, Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood.
Such a good one.
Yeah, if you haven't watched that, it's a great western from the 90s.
Clint Eastwood's like, I'm going to make a Western myself.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it. It's
I think he
incredible.
actually
love Clint
wrote
Eastwood's
some of the
stuff.
music for that because he's actually a composer.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that, but he wrote a lot of the compositions for the movies that he was in the westerns, I think, and
Yeah.
he actually sung in the credits song for Gran Torino.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
He's a true cowboy.
Yeah, he's a true cowboy, and he wanted to be a musician, and he still did it with his acting career and everything
That's
else.
awesome.
So.
I love Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
He's one of my heroes. I've always been a big Clint Eastwood fan. Like, hell, even when I saw, like, Dirty Harry when I was younger and it, like, confused me and stuff.
Yeah, Dirty Harold.
Yeah, you watch Dirty Harry as an adult, and you're like, holy shit. I should not have seen this as a kid.
Yeah.
Especially the part when he looks to the window and the lady's, like, naked, that big fat lady. And you're just like, oh, shit. What the hell are those? Those are melons. And all of a sudden, the feminists have left the podcast. I'm sorry. I joke, I kid. No, it's all fun and games, guys.
Yeah,
but
don't be easily offended.
Yeah,
just be open to everything on this podcast here, because we're fun and games here on this podcast.
I'd say it's more fun than games.
Yeah.
No,
and we talk about games every once in a while.
Yeah, no, I think it's always crazy, and I love doing, like, this episode and, like, other episodes are going to be like this, like, a decade.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to, like, think about it, because, like, decades are such a long amount of time for, like,
it gives you perspective
person.
on now.
Yeah,
thinking about
realizing, like, next year we're going to do stuff on, like, the 2010s is going to be past us. We're going to think about the whole decade. Drive's got to be in my movie Hall of Fame for that.
Yeah,
that's one of the best movies of the decade.
I feel like when you're in the decade, you can't fucking process what's happening. Like, the whole decade, you're just like, man, the 90s was a thing, and that was great.
Yeah,
but,
and
like,
it's crazy how we can look back on the 2000s now, and it's so weird because it's like, I lived the 2000s, so
it's kind of, it's like industrialized, safe cameras, and... Like,
2000s is when a lot of fear started.
It's so sterile. That's my view on it. It seems like it's so sterilized.
It's so corporate also.
Yeah.
Like, movies in the 2000s fucking suck.
Like, if you think of the colors of different different times.
Great movies in
the 80s, dark. 90s, dark. You get to 2000, I just view
everything
white.
Went digital.
Everything's
it went digital,
white.
So it's bright. Everything's got to be cute looking.
Yeah.
It's digital. It's like,
Even
film is
even
how it's supposed to
even
look.
these last 10 years here, I feel like there's a blue tint to that white. It kind of darkened up a little bit.
Yeah, it got better.
But, we're still sterile.
Yeah, it's not like the 90s is a lot. Like, there's a lot of better stuff in the 90s than there is now. But we're also not able to process everything now. So it's kind of crazy because it's like, who's like the band of the 2010s? I'm like, if I could name them, I probably don't like them.
Still got a year to come out.
Yeah. We gotta. There's still a year for good music to come.
Yeah, I feel like I really haven't thought about, like.
I mean, no, like I honestly, I'd probably say like
that.
Tame Impala or like Black Keys or there's a lot of good stuff. Rival Sons is great. Not gonna give Greta Van Fleet a top 10 band. I don't think they're as bad as some people say, but I don't think they're not the saviors of rock and roll, but they're kind of like a step in the right direction. I think. They're just ripping off Zeppelin, but at least people are listening to Zeppelin again, so that's
they're
kind of nice.
It's good. It's good to have an influencer. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those really cool things that it's really cool when you think about like suggestions about a decade. Like I know Kevin just went through his. I mean, honestly, everything I said for Hall of Fame, but hell, I'd even like. Con Air, I would suggest. Face Off, I'd suggest. I'm not gonna put them in the Hall of Fame.
I'd say everything that we talked about, all the movies that we said, all the shows that we talked about, I would recommend.
I think Mulholland Drive was 99. He did Blue Velvet was probably the 80s. Twin Peaks, he like redefined television with Twin Peaks, which is an incredible show. I love David Lynch. I mean, Spielberg did some great stuff.
Yeah, that's...
Ingmar Bergman was still making movies in the 90s, which is crazy to think about, because, like, he did Seventh Seal and, like, Wild Strawberries and that stuff in the 50s. He was still making movies in the 90s.
I feel
they
like...
didn't just give up.
Like, music petered out, but movies stayed strong in the 90s.
Movies were strong in the 90s, like, all the way through.
Yeah,
music
all the way
stopped
through.
At the end because it got too corporate.
Yeah, 2000s, the movies kind of, like, hit or miss there. But, like... The 90s had this like big fucking load of shows and
television got better because you could do some more bolder stuff.
Yeah.
I think like X-Files, I love that.
Yeah.
I love, I mean, heck, well, just staying with television. I mean, as I said, Dragon Ball Z, a lot of these other
Yeah, there's these animated shows that started coming out, and they changed.
I can't watch a lot of the newer animated stuff. A lot of it's not that good.
A lot of it's based off of stuff that they did in the 90s.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I liked Regular Show and Adventure Time and stuff.
They're using more poppy colors. Like, they're popping more stuff
cute.
up. Yeah, like even the Batman stuff.
Just like the superhero
the animated
movies are a little
stuff.
Too cute nowadays. They're not dark. They're too cute.
I feel, people need to start taking things a little bit more seriously than, like, trying to include the children and everything. Because, like, you got to include the whole family and stuff. But, like some things...
We don't need your children.
But, like, kids that grow up watching that are going to know what a good fucking movie is.
Yeah, I hope. I hope.
But they are watching all the other stuff.
Yeah, they're... Well, here's the thing where I stand from, like, Greta Van Fleet's great because it's getting people into rock music. Because, like... What if you, like, grew up never listening to, like, good stuff? Like, if you've never heard Miles Davis, The Beatles, Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, The Doors, you could, like, if you grew up with, like, a whole lot of, like, just, like, two-note beatbox and boop, 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 boop,
like, you listen to synth music and stuff.
Over and over again, where it's so simple and everything. You wouldn't... What if you listen to, like, something that's, like, considered good and you're just like, oh, this isn't good, this is old. And it's like, all of a sudden, then you sit there and realize, like, you really don't know what good music is.
It's like you listen to Beethoven. Like, I get shit for listening to... I get shit for listening to classical music, but...
Some people give shit, but, like, those people, like, they don't know anything about music.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, but that's just classical. That's weird. That's old stuff. And it's like, you realize, like, it's still incredible. Beethoven's still some of the best
those
stuff
people
ever.
have never sat and listened to it by themselves in a room.
Yeah.
Just sit there and listen to it and let it...
It's not cool to, like, classical.
But it's just, like... Music nowadays is all mindless shit. Like, you listen to it while you're doing stuff. Like, classical music, you sit there and listen to it, you have a full fucking experience.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to do an episode
go up
on
and down.
Classical.
Yeah, we should definitely do that.
I definitely think it's one of those things, like, classical music, like, one of those beautiful moments is, for me, Moonlight Sonata.
Oh, that's my favorite.
It's such an incredible
that and
track.
Requiem.
Because here's the thing: if you from
Requiem
Mozart,
Mass,
if you listen to Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata and you close your eyes and you just feel things out and listen to it, you can kind of tell, like, it almost has like a feeling of like people are coming into a room.
You can feel it pulling you.
It's pulling you in. And then there's this moment where it kind of gets really cheery and happy, and that's kind of where you know the characters are dancing. And you've got this idea, oh, maybe you're dancing with this girl you like, and it's really intense, and then you're separated from her again.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and then it goes back into like kind of the dance waltz thing. So, it's just this incredible thing where it's, and for Elisa does the same kind of thing where it has like a dance in there.
Yeah.
And Beethoven was brilliant because he I don't want to say he's manipulating your emotions, but I mean, that's what a psychologist would tell you. But but no.
Those classical writers had such a different feeling.
Job. Well, can you imagine
music.
How hard it is?
You're writing for more than one person.
Yeah, like, nowadays, like, you got like people worshiping a DJ who like programs like 3 notes. Meanwhile, Beethoven had to manage an orchestra, a fucking like troupe of
like when people talk about how
Mozart had to do all that stuff,
how brilliant Mozart was and stuff, like you don't really grasp how much it was, because like he was great by himself. He could grab a piano and create a fucking amazing thing, and then he also wrote shit for fucking 50 people to play at the same time, and it's amazing. And it's like fucking heartfelt, and you can move with it and feel it. Nowadays, someone picks up a guitar, and they can't work. They can't work.
Like that's 90s too, but it's fine.
But like, there's modern day people like Jimmy Page and stuff like that. They're the modern composers and stuff. They've done, but they're still not like that. But I feel like technology has definitely taken part of our minds that we can't.
Well, just like. Stuff's gotten
put
so
into
loud.
Other things.
Like, I know people who are like, I like metal because it's loud and it's in my face, and it's like, But where's the intricacy? Where's the brilliance?
I've been
Like,
starting
and
to
I
turn down music when I listen to it now because it's just like it's kind of too noisy. I need some quiet sometimes.
And that's the thing is that, like, I think people don't have an appreciation for music anymore. People don't appreciate anybody. Like, we've had this witch hunt on famous people and everything.
Like South Park episode.
So they're like, oh, all of your heroes are terrible. They're the worst people ever. Look at all these horrible things they've done. And
look
it's
at all
like,
the great they've done, though.
Oh, yeah.
In 100 years, nobody's going to be saying what bad things going to be
and
like.
that's the thing. Like, people, like, there's, like, genius. And people used to look up to, like, sports athletes and then look up to musicians and actors. People used to have hope. And people used to, like...
I'm not going to say overlook things that people do that's bad, because some things are bad. They need to have repercussions for that. But at the same time, don't overlook the good that they've done and how... They've, because maybe that person made a song that somebody listened to and it saved their life one day, you know? Like, they listened to it and it totally changed them, but, like, you know, they did something stupid when they were young and then they fucked up their reputation, like Tom saying something about blowing Jesus or something.
No, he made a kind of joke about...
Yeah, I know,
But we blew it out of proportion.
Yeah, but
yeah.
But what I mean is just like...
Blowing Jesus.
But like... Yeah.
That's a band name. Can you imagine? Yo, we're blowing Jesus.
But like, I feel like... Yeah, you should be cautious of what you say and do. But like, at the same time, like, take it with a grain of salt. Everyone's taking the whole fucking container of salt and fucking putting it in their water. Like, just... A lot of things people say aren't fucking how they feel. Like, just because somebody says it, don't take it for 100%. It's like reading a book by the cover. The book's called Blowing Jesus, but, you know, it's not about that. Religious people, hello, how are you doing? Peter Griffin here.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I can top Blowing Jesus. But I do know.
Hey, if you got to do that, you'd be on top of the world.
Yeah. That one thing about the 90s that, like, I remember, just kind of specifically, the one thing, like, I'll miss that's so quintessential 90s is movie stores. You know, not just turning Netflix on and just, what the hell do I want to watch? I'll just watch this thing.
Makes me think of Clerks right there, yeah.
When you walked into a movie store, you went and sat down, and you were like, I'm spending $5 on this. I better be getting something I like.
Yeah, and that also brought people together, too. Movie stores.
Yeah, because
you get there, you see
get a nice
somebody
suggestion.
there. Yeah.
So
you have the people that work there, and sometimes they care about that shit. But...
I had what was a movie I had suggested to me that I checked out that I was like, whoa, this is great. I'm trying to think of, like, what's, like, the quintessential movie. Like, one movie I got at a video store. Okay, one that I saw that I definitely shouldn't have seen, but I saw it at a young age. I have it on VHS. It's a Tobe Hooper movie from the 80s. It's a horror movie. Invasion from Mars, I think it is. I should not have been seeing that as a kid, but it was like PG. But it's Tobe Hooper, the guy who did Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So
Airplane is PG.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, it's... It's all the time it came out.
Yeah. But that, I remember watching that, and it was, it really had an impact on me as a kid. Like, it kind of freaked me out and shit, but, like, part of me was also like, I love this. And it kind of got me more into horror, I guess. I mean, obviously, I had been watching... I'd seen some stuff before that. Like, I think AVP was the first scary thing I saw. But then, like, you know, I went through my, like, Friday the 13th phase. I watched all of those and everything. And then they were a cool experience. And I do think the first 6 are worth a view. I will kind of keep it at that first 6. But...
the funny part is that you say 6. There's 6 of them. There's a lot of movie.
there's a lot of Friday the 13th.
I get it. Yeah, I know.
There's like 14 of them.
All those things.
There's 13 Friday the 13th movies because that's just perfect math.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why people want them to make another one. I think they're at 12.
Friday 13.
Let's see. There's the first 8. Then there's Jason Goes to Hell. That was 93 or 4. Then there was Jason X. So that takes them up to 10.
Wow,
then
X and 10. That's pretty... They're good at math with this,
Then there was Freddy vs. Jason, which was 11. Then the remake, 12.
Okay, so yeah.
So they need to make Friday the 13th one.
Yeah.
Which, if they gave it to the hands of somebody who would really do a good job with it, that'd be nice. But I just don't think they've like.
I feel like that movie could be extremely scary if they did it right.
If you did Jason right, you get the gore effects from 7 that were never thrown in there, like something like that. That was the only good part about that movie, and they took it out. So 7 sucks.
They should. I know that I've been bitching about them remaking everything, but they should remake it, and then just combine the first one and the second one. Shit, like have the mom in there too.
They kind of did that with the remake
With
they did
the new
in
one?
2009.
I didn't see
it
that,
wasn't
so,
good.
yeah.
Okay, it's okay.
Like I said, or like you said, the right person could do it.
Right person, definitely. You need, like, the guy who just did Hereditary. If Ari Aster got Friday the 13th to do, oh, it'd be terrifying. It'd be so good. It'd be so amazing. But, there's so many people who are going to tell you, oh, well, that's bullshit. Hereditary wasn't liked by everyone. Yeah, but like 70% of people liked it, and they thought it was fantastic. It was like the 30% of people who just didn't want to like it. There's stuff like that where, well, it disagrees with me, so it's wrong and it's bad. Like, people say that about all kinds of shit, though. There's so many things out there that are fantastic, but like
your opinion matters, but your opinion matters not that much.
And you have to have a reason to have an opinion, I think. Like, I have somebody, like, they would tell you all these great movies are overrated and pretentious or whatever. And it's like, maybe you're just an idiot. You ever thought about that? Or have you ever thought that maybe you're not looking at things?
I feel like people are too
focused
focused on the bad things, and they're not focused on the good things. Like I feel like people should.
They're nitpicking.
If there's a bad movie, leave it alone. Don't say anything about it. And like the fact that people aren't talking about it will show that it's not a good movie.
Yeah.
And if there's a great movie, then don't fucking pick out the I saw a tripod in the background.
Yeah.
And like
this movie was bad because there was one scene in which a guy blinked when he was supposed to be frozen.
Yeah, but it's still like the greatest movie made other than that. Like,
yeah, like if it was like The Godfather, but in one scene there's like somebody
the guy slips or something.
In the background.
Yeah,
it's like horrible. This movie is terrible. It's so overrated. It has a 9 on IMDb. It should have like a 1 because I had like one problem with it. It's like, what's your number 1 movie of all time? Well, absolutely, it's Wonder Woman and Black Panther. They're tied because they're so wonderful.
Look at them. They're so high production value.
They're so amazingly well made. I mean, they were handcrafted, and they definitely weren't nominated for Academy Awards only
Everything
because
was practical.
Progressive, yeah.
Especially that end fight scene in Black Panther.
Black Panther. The end fight scene looked like a PS2 cutscene.
We talked about it.
That's so bad.
We talked about
How'd that get a Best Picture nomination? We're progressive. We're trying to really, push our ideals onto other people because, if you have a differing opinion, you're wrong. So please vote for Black Panther. It's like Black Panther. Come on, man.
We're getting away from the 90s. It's probably a good place to.
Blade was in the 90s, I think.
Blade
that
was
the
in the
first.
90s.
That was really the first black superhero movie. No, Meteor Man was 93.
Well, Black Panther was the first black superhero
in the Marvel.
In Marvel.
MCU.
In everything, I'm pretty sure. In comic
Blade
books.
is Marvel.
In comic books.
But he was the original
Black
character.
Panther was the first.
It's kind of funny that they called him
thing.
Black Panther when like the Black Panther group's kind
of.
Oh
yeah, and that was. I think that was kind
probably
of a play
intentional
about it, but it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. Well, anything else you want to get out of the way before we end this thing?
1990s. There's so many places to take that. There's so many cool things about it. But you don't want to go too overboard. It's just like these decade series, it's kind of tough.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it'd be cool if, like, for a Patreon thing, if we did, like, broke down, like, a year in review kind of thing. Like, pick a random year and do the music and the movies of it.
That
like,
would be
talk a bit
interesting,
about
yeah.
it. Like, do little talking things. Like, we could do, like, a bonus thing for every week and do it on the Patreon thing.
Let us know what you guys think about
that.
Yeah.
And I know we want to start doing a lot more stuff, but
yeah, we have some things in the works that we'll start to roll out here.
Yeah, and I know we do kind of want to launch the Patreon thing, and we want to do like bonus podcasts, bonus videos, bonus all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, we'll do some guitar stuff too.
Yeah, and it really is that thing where Patreon allows us to kind of do that extra step, and it kind of works out good for everybody because it's like you get extra stuff, but on the other hand, it's a little bit of money for a lot of extra stuff. Yeah. So it'll give us more time to get more done for the podcast. And we can get stuff, and we can use the money to like get a new camera and do some stuff and get audio equipment and everything.
Yeah.
And that's a cool thing, and I do think Patreon's a great site because you can really support people that you really respect and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it's all good,
Yeah,
that's all you can say about the 90s.
It'd be great to have your support, and glad that you're listening to us now. Yeah. I mean, we've been having a good amount of turnout so far, just from word of mouth.
Yeah.
So,
it's one of those things that, as it keeps going on, more and more people are going to kind of discover this. And I think it's cool for everybody who gives us a listen and listens in and all that. It's something that...
A little background noise for you.
Yeah, it gives you something cool to listen to at work, because I know I listen to a lot of podcast stuff, because it's, it's something different than just the same song you've heard 800 times. Like, you can only hear Living on a Prayer so many times before you go insane.
Mm-hmm.
Throwing on a podcast and hearing about some different stuff that maybe you didn't think about in a while.
Yeah, there's
90s podcasts. That's pretty cool.
New stuff. You might hear something you haven't heard of or seen.
Yeah, and movie suggestions.
We have our suggestions, and check them out and let us know what you think about our suggestions of the shows and movies that we talked about, because they're obviously great movies, whether we think so or not. Like, there's obviously great following behind all these things that we've been talking about, but tell us what you guys think, like whether...
Yeah.
Like, recommend something to us from the 90s.
Yeah, if there's like a 90s movie that you feel is like underrated or something, you can throw it down in the comments.
Or we missed something here.
Yeah, or hell, like a top 5, top 10 would be cool to see too from you guys. And then, like it if you like this episode, and subscribe if you want to hear more. Yeah. And we're gonna keep bringing you some more stuff here.
Yeah, thanks for coming, guys. Next episode is Star Wars. Get hyped for that.
Yeah, look forward to Star Wars.
All right.
We'll see you next week with a new Star Wars episode.
Alrighty then.
All right, guys. See you then.